You're up and it's still dark. Kick back with a cup of joe. You know you've got friends waiting on 1620 The Zone. It's Happer and Schaefer. It's Connor and Mike. Listen on the radio stream or YouTube or podcasts. Anytime it feels right. It's Happer and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer.
Good morning and welcome in. Happy Monday. It's Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, the Zone mobile app, the Zone Radio Network. I'm Connor Happer alongside Mike Schaefer and Joey Colbert. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Good morning.
What's everybody doing?
Good. Doing well.
Doing fantastic.
Another wonderful week ahead.
All right. Schaefer, you were already
it is.
pre-complaining about NBA games that you didn't even watch.
I know.
Unbelievable.
I just need them to be competitive, and then I can get into it.
Why would you need them to be competitive if you're not going to watch them?
Well, no, I might watch them. My
Oh.
son asks for basketball all the time now, and now all that's left is the NBA.
Well, why does he care if it's
Non-competitive
competitive?
games?
He's two.
Non-competitive
I
games.
care because if it's on the television, I want to sneak watch it, then I need to actually, remotely have a reason to watch.
That's true. So maybe you'll be in luck tonight. 3 more NBA playoff games, and they can all be found on your Peacock app.
Oh, look at that.
Well, I think there's an NBC doubleheader, and then one of them is exclusively on Peacock.
There you go. Well, they could all be found on your Peacock. Is that wrong, Joey?
Yeah,
They-
yeah.
they-
You
they
can watch
all
them all on the app.
All right. 6
obviously.
o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 9:30.
Yeah, the 7 o'clock is probably the Peacock exclusive game.
There was a time where I was
Playoff Peacock.
very into
oh
the
no,
NBA.
6 o'clock is.
There's a time in my life where I was very into the NBA playoffs, and I think that time's over because they just happen too late at night.
Yeah, well,
I wish I could stay up late at night. I can't.
You have a different life now.
This
It
is the
is.
benefit of being a fan of a team that plays in the Eastern Conference because they would be the first game.
Yeah, I guess they would play at like 6 or 7 or something like that.
6:30, 7.
Yeah. Games should maybe start at 3:30 now.
Yeah, we'll have basketball during the day, during the weekdays.
Uh,
It'd be like the NCAA
sign me up
tournament.
for
We
that.
need a game at 2 in the afternoon.
That would be great. 11:10?
Yeah.
11:15?
I would support it.
Right after an episode of The Price is Right? That'd be absolutely fantastic.
What is on
I
NBC at 10 a.m.?
Probably a chit chat show.
There's a remote right there. You
There's-
could check.
There's-
I wouldn't know how.
There's got to be a chit chat show on there. I don't know what that chit chat show is called or who it is hosted by, but it's The View. It's The View.
You're
That's
you're looking
ABC.
at
What
that's
about-
ABC.
what
Go
about
go up.
NBC?
Go up.
Okay. All right. Calm down, everyone.
There you go.
Today with Jenna and Chenille.
Yeah, you're right. Another
Wow.
chit chat show.
Yeah, you're not gonna compete with a chit chat show against a chit chat show.
Speaking of chit chat shows, our famed basketball analyst, God, Stephen A. Smith, wasn't even watching his beloved New York Knicks in favor of WrestleMania. I wonder how much basketball analysis we'll hear from him
Oh, a lot.
this morning.
A
He
lot.
probably
From
holed
the
up
games
in his
he's not
hotel
watching.
room and watched all the games on 2 times speed.
He definitely did
So
that.
not
And
only-
then we'll have twice as fast.
So
not-
he went to WrestleMania.
Yeah, he went to WrestleMania in Las Vegas, but not only I was surprised to see him not tweeting about the New York Knicks. I didn't see Spike Lee at the New York Knicks game at all, and he's famously at the games. So I'm curious what happened there.
Does this mean that Spike is not a believer?
Or hopefully everything's okay health-wise.
Or he's just saving his energy
That's
for
what I
when,
thought he was getting at.
or he might be saving his energy for when Boston goes into town and beats them up for revenge.
Wow.
Joey's already preemptively setting up a Joey versus Spike Lee situation.
Yeah, this is
Joey versus Stephen A.
Stephen
I
A.
have
Spike Lee, all them boys.
I have a respect for Spike Lee because he's a true fan.
Okay. All right. Well, Stephen A., not to be. You're gonna have to earn that respect back. You're gonna have to watch.
I think Stephen A is gonna have a tough time getting Joey's respect. I'm gonna be honest.
You're gonna have to watch those games on television.
I'm sure he's not thrilled with my Pittsburgh Steelers prediction for their Thursday night game.
Is he a Pittsburgh Steelers fan?
Yeah, he's a Pittsburgh fan.
What in the world?
Doesn't make any sense. So he spent his entire career in Philadelphia before the ESPN thing.
Yeah.
And he's a Knicks fan and a Steelers fan, and he seems like a Cowboys fan all the time.
And then he fell in love with Western Pennsylvania and decided to become a Steelers fan. Very questionable.
I don't understand.
It's kind of like this guy here being a Packers fan and a Celtics fan at the same time.
Well, that happens.
I think
you're in the Midwest.
Where did he actually grow up? Do we know this?
I think Philadelphia, in the Philadelphia area.
He's a Northeast guy.
Yeah. So he just rejected the 76ers at birth and the Eagles?
Maybe he did. Maybe he could sense that one day Joel Embiid would never play.
He would never play in an NBA Finals.
He would never
He's a
play.
New York
Period.
guy. He was born in the Bronx.
Oh yeah, never mind. Yeah, he's.
Yeah,
I know he
I
worked
don't
for
know
the
where this whole
Inquirer
Philadelphia
forever.
thing came from.
I think he went to school in the Philadelphia area and then worked at the Inquirer.
All right. Well, now that we have a complete lineage on Stephen A. Smith, we can start the show. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Happy April 20th, folks. It is Monday, so Tim Verghese will join the show. Michael Bruntz will join the show, and we'll ask Michael, will Nebraska host a regional in baseball? And it's a real conversation.
Should make him put a number with it, like percent chance.
Oh.
And then each week we can track to see how he's doing with it.
I wonder what the number would be in his first. I wonder what my number would be. Percentage chance that Nebraska hosts a regional. Like, I don't know. Is it at 50 now? Is it close to 50 now?
I don't think we're at 50 yet.
47, something like that.
We were at like 30% before the USC, maybe like 45%.
All right, I can agree on 45%. 45%.
We'll see what Bruntz says.
We'll ask Bruntz if there is not a 45% chance that Nebraska baseball will host a regional after dismantling those soft California boys from USC this weekend. So those are our guests coming up today. That is our lineup. We also have our man of the weekend, of which we've gotten some suggestions from over the weekend.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, just so you guys know, they're not going to be suggestions. Like, my man of the weekend is not going to change based on what you tell me, but you guys get a man of the weekend as well. So thank you for sending those to
I like
us.
this.
And we will, discuss your man of the weekend as well coming up in about a half hour or so here. Elsewhere today on the show, of course, there was Nebraska baseball from over the weekend. Yes, we'll talk about the very real chance that Nebraska baseball hosts a regional after their dominant performance against USC. We never really got our crack at all the stadium things. There's like probably 5 or 6 like hardcore stadium narratives that we could dive into.
Okay.
We don't even have to get to all of them. Maybe we could do stadium narrative of the day.
Look, I don't hate it.
Stadium topic
We'd
of the
probably
day.
spend the entire week with the stadium as the main topic, to be honest.
All right, so we just pick one stadium topic.
Yeah, I'd say that's good. And then we work it throughout the week.
All right, troughs is one of the topics.
Yeah,
for some reason
there's a whole contingent of people that want to protect the trough.
there is. I don't know where these people came from.
Are they going to send renderings of what the bathrooms are going to look like in the South Stadium?
That I don't know.
Or what the concessions are going to look like?
Maybe.
They should on that.
Maybe there will actually be an escalator or an elevator.
Or stairs to the upper
I think
deck?
they're probably going to start with it being ADA compliant and then go from there. We'll see. If you don't enjoy my vague posting about the Royals, sorry, because it's coming. They suck. Holy crap.
Are you hopping on Jake's little bandwagon, firing everybody?
I am never as definitive about anything as Jake is about everything. So I'm not like a fire guy. I'm not like a fire people guy, but boy.
Is there a Richard Bisaccia on your Kansas City Royals you just have a beef with?
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm not like a fire people guy, but their hitting coach is probably on the chopping block. His name is Alex Zumwalt. So maybe put him in the Rich Bisaccia Hall of Fame at this moment. There was
That's
an
a good
NFL
graphic.
trade over the weekend. Nebraska basketball gets commitments from people. There was volleyball on Friday night. There was a skydiver who ran into a video board.
Oh,
And we
yeah,
can
I heard-
hope that does not happen on Nebraska's new gigantic video board that they'll put in South Stadium.
Or if you're James Franklin, you hope that's not some sort of omen for your like.
Kind of did. It
your
kind of did.
tenure at Virginia
Kind of
Tech.
did feel like that.
Not it's for the optimism that you might have felt in Hokieville. He's got to take at least a little step back.
Very first spring game, right before kickoff, the parachuter jams himself into the scoreboard, one of the letters of the scoreboard. I mean, that is tough.
The video was incredible.
The sound, did you hear the sound?
I don't think I ever did hear it with the sound.
I
so
think I did hear the
it
sound.
was like a thump or a thwack or
It
what?
was a thwack and a crack. And you could hear the letters on the scoreboard break.
Oh,
And then all
they
the
were
people
just
go,
falling down.
oh, the sheer horror, which I'd be terrified if I was standing around. I was like, is this guy okay? And he just hung
what if
there
you're
for a few
underneath of
minutes.
it, and like the letters start to come down.
So-
Those things aren't small.
Right. There is a gap between the optical illusion was there's a pretty sizable gap between the scoreboard and the seats in front of it. So I guess I don't know if anybody got hit by any flying debris.
Yeah.
But I'd be worried because there's a guy hanging from the scoreboard. Oh, that is not cool. Not cool. So we have all of those things coming up today. And also stay tuned for the end of the show. Bracket sims are back, and I'm excited to see what kind of bracket
Coming off that weekend.
will be simmed today. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, we would encourage you to do so. 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone Hotline. You could call or text that number. You could tweet at Happen Schaefer, at Connor Happer, at Mike J. Schaefer on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor, Mike, or Joey at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to our YouTube streamers today, like Mike, who says Salvi and Q. I like how they call him Q because they don't want to pronounce Quattrero over and over and over again. Their kerfuffle did not sway you. We're going to talk about the kerfuffle.
There was a kerfuffle.
Not really, but it was very.
Tensions running high when you're losing.
I think so, and it involves Salvador Perez, who always is the most positive person on planet Earth and has never said anything bad about the Royals or anything like that. Not that he did, but okay, we can talk about it. So, pull my arm. So, after the game on, I guess it was Saturday, maybe.
Friday was close. The other two were sort of just like blowouts, right?
Yeah. There was some sort of discussion with Salvador Perez that they were gonna give him a day off, because he had kind of been hurt a little bit. Obviously, he's been really scuffling at the plate.
Sure.
They're gonna give him a day off and just sit back and reset. And Matt Quattrero was asked why did Salvi sit basically after the game, and he said he needed a mental breather. And then Salvador Perez went on Twitter immediately and tweeted only the words, "I don't need a mental breather." And I was like, oh God, here we go.
That's not that much of a kerfuffle.
Yeah, but it is from Salvador Perez terms.
Sure.
He doesn't do stuff like this.
Sure.
This does not happen. The rank and file in the Royals organization, it's never like this.
He might just want to make sure that he's not like considered someone who needs mental health days. Some people feel very strongly about how they would be painted in that regard.
I think we're dealing with somewhat of a miscommunication here on those two sides. Just like they, he I'm sure he was like, hey, we're gonna sit you down for a day, and Salvi was probably like, no, I don't really agree.
I
with
assume
this.
he never wants.
He never wants to
Yeah.
sit. He's
Jose Ramirez, same exact way.
He's on record all the time of saying,
Yeah.
I never want to sit. I want to be out there and I want to play for people. But sometimes you have to tell guys like that, like, dude, sorry, you're 34 years old. You've caught like 1 billion innings in your life. You're 300 pounds. You're not hitting right now. Time to take a day off.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I will not accept this. I will not accept this. So that's basically the confront.
Okay.
I don't think anybody's getting fired. I just don't think that's their style.
Who's a Wednesday beef? I'd say this is 1 out of 10.
If this goes on another, like if they don't score any runs or win any more games for another week or something like that, like then we're probably going to have to fire people.
Wow.
But I don't think. I mean, I don't know. It comes.
Yeah, I
back around.
apologize. I was fairly confident that the Royals could take 1 game this week.
Yeah, no, I don't know, Schaefer. You didn't listen to us. We told you it's not happening.
I am always amazed at the AL Central's just ability to make the Yankees seem that much better than they actually are. Cleveland in the playoffs every time. Then there's the Twins, who famously had never beat the Yankees. The Royals are the same way.
That's true. Maybe if the Yankees were in the NL, they'd just be mid.
Could be. They get propped up by the AL Central.
They get propped up by playing.
I don't know.
AL
The
Central
Tigers have the
times.
same issues. Cleveland's is almost exclusively the playoffs. And then it's just like, oh, all their good pitchers just can't not throw middle fastballs.
I wonder.
Don't work very well against that team.
We are not in a great era of Yankees teams right now. Like it, but they generally have decent regular season records,
Sure.
and they threaten or make the postseason.
Oh, they're not like bad teams.
I know. So over the last 7 to 10 years, just pull the Yankees record against all AL Central teams during that period of time.
2017 ALDS elimination.
Well, I know not in the postseason,
But specifically though, it just amazes me that 17 elimination, 2020 elimination, 2022 elimination, 2024 elimination. They played them in every
chances are they're going to play a postseason series against an AL Central team probably, most years. I'm sure you can.
Are they? I feel like the Yankees have struggled a little bit, but mostly that's because Mike Trout and the Angels just hit all those home runs. I don't know if their actual record is that much
right now
or not.
They're 13-9.
Yeah, so they're basically. I mean, Cleveland's 13-10. I don't know who's good in the West. The Astros are the worst team in baseball, I think.
The Royals are 7-15.
So that's something.
Yeah. We'll hear about them a little bit later on in the show as well. Hokey Skur says, dare I say it, bring back Nedyo. He said Ned Yost, but everyone always called him Nedyo. Nedyo. Yeah, maybe they need a little.
Who would the interim even be? Like, who's their bench coach for the Royals?
I don't know who they got going on. They got Vance Wilson coaching third.
Maybe George Brett can be the interim coach.
George Brett did that once. George Brett came back and was the hitting coach for a few weeks.
Right, but I mean like the interim manager.
That they would probably do that again. Yeah. George is getting a little old.
Yeah, no.
These days. Maybe you could bring back Don Wakamatsu.
He retired like right around your birth, right?
Yeah, 93 or 3. Yeah.
94, I think that's when he retired. Maybe it was 93 before the strike.
All right. You always ask questions that I just don't know the answers to.
That's all right. I should just not ask these questions. Correct. Nobody's waking up this morning and like, I wonder when George Brett retired.
He retired after the 1993 season.
All right.
In which he was 40 and I was 1.
Look at that.
Yep. So George is 39 years older than me, and he's crapped his pants more times than me in Las Vegas. All right. Off and running on a Monday. We are back after this on 1620 The Zone. Okay, we have some new online contests going on right now. Like, how about the Derby Draw, the Zone Derby Draw, for your chance to win $200 without really doing anything. You could be one of the 20 lucky finalists, and you'll be randomly assigned a racehorse on race day. And if they win that race, the big one, you will win $200, the one that happens the first Saturday in May. So you have to enter the Derby draw on 1620thezone.com. Then your name might get picked, and then your horse might win. But really, you don't have to do anything except for enter. And then all of a sudden, surprise, in like 2 Saturdays, we'll give you $200.
Yeah, I bet.
Probably the Monday after.
I bet if you listen to Middays with Matt, he'll have thoughts and tips as to who the best horses are.
Yeah.
Not that you're in control of this, but you probably want to be a horse that he's not as high on. That would be my guess.
Just keep
Horse
in mind,
expert,
whichever
master.
he's been thinking about this for a really long time. And what he doesn't realize is that the more you overthink things, the worse off you're going to be. Basically, with
Despite
anything
how
in your
often we browbeat him in the crossover, he continues to think when
Yeah.
we don't want.
Yeah, he's been projecting this thing. He's been talking about this Japanese horse for
Do you
6
remember
months.
he walked in? It was like in February, and he was all excited to tell us about the horse that won this big race. He's
Yeah.
like, this has been the predictor of at least 37% of the Kentucky Derbies over the last 10 years.
Uh-huh.
It's like the percentage doesn't line up with the amount of years. Like
Yeah.
this can't be right.
Nope.
This cannot work.
Nope.
The math ain't mathing.
If you need help, seek advice from Matt McHorster.
That
Matt McHorster.
or don't. That's what we're suggesting.
Yeah. Well, look, that's the great thing about this contest. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, you don't get a pick at all.
You sign up, boom, done.
We're just gonna give you a horse. And if your
A horse
horse
to represent you, not a literal horse.
We're
You
just
will not
gonna
be
give you a
receiving
horse.
from the station.
and if your horse scratches, sorry, then you're SOL. Then you'd be in the same place that Matt would be in
Right.
after not picking a horse that is going to win. All right, Nebraska baseball this weekend. They
Talk about backing the right horse.
they crushed USC, except for Friday when they came back from down 7-2 with 4 outs left.
Oh man. Okay. Did you what was your level of paying attention to the various ways that Nebraska, USC, these games were just all of them weird. They're all weird in their own way.
I watched a lot of yesterday because it was the only one that was on television. And then I saw clips on Saturday, and I really didn't watch much of Friday because I was doing volleyball.
Yeah. So Friday, and I figured Friday was the one that you saw the least of because of volleyball.
Indeed.
Friday was a lot of me just following along on Twitter, and then it's Nebraska's immediately down 5-0. And it's like, okay, big series. I've seen this version of Nebraska baseball before.
Kerplunk.
Like they come out, it's Friday, you're facing an excellent starter for USC. You're gonna have to fight tooth and nail to get 3 runs off of this guy, and you're down 5-0 immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's
Not a good sign.
then it's 5-2, and then you're like, okay, if they can hold it at 5, 2 runs very next inning. Like you don't have a great response inning, whatever. Then I get this text from Bruntz because I don't know what I was doing, but I wasn't as locked in at this point. And I get this text from Bruntz, and it was basically about what Overbeek did to that baseball. You check in and it's 7-5. And again, I'm just following this game on Twitter like it's 19, not even 19, I guess, 2010.
Mhm.
And there's no BTN Plus. I hadn't bothered to figure out if I had a login or any of it.
I am absolutely not getting BTN Plus.
And
I don't
so
even care if they'll give me a login.
then I'm just sitting there just scrolling Twitter, waiting for updates from Evan or from Bruntz or from whoever. It was just the weirdest way to take this game in. And then they end up winning. And it's like, there's radio, but I didn't feel compelled to go find a radio to listen to
Mhm.
or put it on my phone. It felt like the most 21st century sports watching experience possible.
You couldn't find it anywhere, /
you
it
could-
didn't exist anywhere.
It existed, but in ways that I wasn't willing to log in or
Yeah.
literally go get the radio.
No, that sounds right.
So I'm just sitting there pulling down on a swipe bar just so I can get refreshed updates.
Well, did
They
you
ended
get
up
what you
winning.
wanted?
I did get what I wanted. I didn't think it was possible, but they managed to win.
8-7 in 10. They win it on a bunt play. USC was kicking the ball around all night. Their starter, Mason Edwards, who we talked about extensively on Friday, like he ended up going 7 innings and only gave up the 2 runs, the ones that they gave up in the 6th, but left with a 7-2 lead. And you're like, yeah, I think that's probably enough, right? You get your starter gives you 7 on Friday night. That's your best guy.
Well, their closer's pretty good too,
right? But you feel good,
yeah,
about what you've done, the work that you've put in. I thought in his time, just going back and sort of not only looking at the numbers but looking at sort of what Nebraska did. I thought Nebraska did some really good things against him, even while he was pitching.
They just couldn't get the hit.
To just kind of extend him. Yes, they had a little bit too much strikeout. There was 12 strikeouts. There was no walks during that time. But they made it challenging, I think, to put him away. Threw over 100 pitches. And with that being said, you still didn't feel any sort of comfort that Nebraska was going to be able to come back and win that game on Friday night until it just quickly changed in a flash, in the blink of an eye. They put together 3 in the 8th and 2 in the 9th, and they got some big clutch hits. And then USC kicked it around a little bit too. And that same thing really continued throughout the remainder of the weekend. After Nebraska broke them on Friday night with the comeback victory, they just blasted them into oblivion on Saturday, really never competitive. And then yesterday, USC jumped out to an okay, start, and then with one, momentum shift in the game, Nebraska put them away and ended up run ruling them on Sunday as well. Sweep. So they did go 4-2 over the 6-game stretch. I was right.
The Saturday experience, I was like, I'm not doing what I did on Friday, so I got a BTN login. So I'm watching the game on Saturday, and you can just tell Nebraska's just all over whatever their pitcher's throwing. I can't remember the name of the USC starter who was second in the conference in ERA.
Grant Govil
hadn't given up, I think, 5 runs in a college start ever. And then Nebraska just jumped all over.
He gave up 7. He struck out 1.
He had an inning where Nebraska had back-to-back home runs, a flyout that was basically to the warning track, and then a third solo home run that might have been hit the furthest out of the 3. They were all over every offering that he had. Like, Nebraska's hitting just shined through in a big way over the weekend.
Yep. And so we'll talk about this a little bit later, but the conversation obviously becomes, as it has, it's definitely been this already, but it really comes into focus to their ability to host at home during the postseason, which has a variety of different advantages. Let's go over a couple of things first. So 21,383 fans over the weekend, which is the 5th most all-time conference series at Haymarket Park since the park opened in 2002. I believe it is the biggest in the Big Ten era over 3 days. And someone said last night, like, do you think that anyone's really ever run ruled or ranked or a top 15 team on back-to-back days? Like, I don't know. I don't know if that stat exists anywhere. I imagine it hasn't happened very many times.
I bet it's happened in like a couple SEC games.
And I don't think that's, especially that wasn't the kind of team coming into the weekend that gets run ruled, right? They pitch and play defense. That's kind of what they do. And that's what West Coast baseball teams do anymore. They didn't pitch very well and they didn't play defense very well either. So, I think USC is probably looking at it like, did we really give it our best crack this weekend? Either way, Nebraska just completely annihilated.
You know what they did at a really high level?
What did they do?
They wore J.J. McCarthy style eye black all over.
Oh,
I would say
it was very glary.
Like 6 or 7 of their hitters just covered, like they're, I would call it.
I saw some good eye black and sunglasses looks for sure.
Yeah.
But it was very bright. Were you not outside this weekend?
I'm sure the sun is more of a factor at Haymarket Park than it is at Minnesota.
No, but the
State.
glare. It's the glare with the high clouds and the glare. That's why people wear eye black.
I mean, I learned that the glare is why the crown credential comes down all the time. So.
Exactly. People have to take the proper precautions for glare.
I was just happy that it was hanging up when I came back in.
I put it up.
We just got to teach Josh to put things back where he finds them.
I suppose we do. So an absolute masterclass by Nebraska baseball, who finds themselves at number 14 in the live RPI this morning, up 13 spots.
Whoa.
From over the weekend, 31-9. They are 15-3 in the Big Ten Conference now. I mean, you could list off all of the, they're on a 4-game winning streak. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They are 19-1 at home.
And those 3 losses, 2 one-run losses at Oregon in the game against Kansas before the Oregon series. So they've been playing good teams.
In the last 10. Yeah.
They've just been playing good teams.
They've been playing good teams, and this was a critical stretch. And, it was sort of up in the air after the Oregon series and after the Kansas-Oregon week where you went 1-3, like you said. But you came back with a 4-0 week last week and now get to avenge the loss to Kansas potentially tomorrow at the Hog, which people, are excited about. It's a big game. It's a juice game on Tuesday night. And then there's basically nobody on your schedule the rest of the way. So this is it. This is the last taste of postseason baseball before postseason baseball.
Well, they get the internal pressure of needing to meet expectations. So that'll be that's always fun.
It is. Rotation switch up. Looked fine. You got the
you got Ty Horn out of the bullpen a couple different times.
You got the benefit of Ty Horn coming back on Sunday.
That was big, and maybe that propels him back into a weekend rotation role. I'll be curious I don't know if they had said Sunday what the plan is for the rotation, or not the rotation, but Tuesday night against Kansas, who starts that or how they're going to approach that game.
Who cares?
They used pretty much everybody over the weekend. I mean,
probably Price Bender would be my guess.
Hopefully it goes better than the last
several times.
The last
That's okay.
Start.
Who cares? It's Tuesday.
Well, Kansas, their last good game. They want to go out on a high note.
You're fine. Seriously. Nobody's going to ding you for losing a midweek game on the road to a top 25
No,
team.
I don't think they'll get dinged. I'm just saying the juxtaposition of you being like, Kansas is the last good team they play.
It is.
Then, who cares?
Yeah, it's the midweek.
Yeah. They still want to win it. I'm sure.
I'm sure since they're humans and they exist, they want to win it. But are you going to put yourself in a position to be able to do so? I don't know. Maybe you might just have to slug your way or something like that. And who cares?
Showing the ability to do that.
Yeah,
they can gorilla ball.
We got a man of the weekend suggestion from our friends from the Belzer Boys podcast, who says their man of the weekend is Ty Horn for 3 games this week. Went 9 innings and gave up just 1 run. Will you?
Hey, that's good.
Will you accept that?
I accept that.
Michael Schaefer accepts that. Also, Hokey Sker writes in, not Nebraska's fault that USC didn't show up. No,
it's not Giancarlo's fault.
Oh no, sorry, I didn't insinuate that it was. I'm just saying that they did it.
I don't think that we were taking away from anything Nebraska.
I hope it doesn't sound like
I think
that.
they took away the USC spirit and will and willingness to be there.
Most certainly.
And crushed it in a very, very enjoyable fashion.
Matthew says Nebraska deserves a lot of credit for playing tough and opportunistic baseball, not giving up. However, USC played awful the majority of the weekend, especially the 8th inning on the first night on Friday. Yeah, I think that they're the type of team that's just going to put pressure on you all the time.
That's the thing about baseball. Like, you have to get the 27 outs.
And so if and when they do host a regional, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show, like having the very distinct advantages that you saw, I think, play out right in front of your very eyes this weekend of what it means to play a big series at home, whether it be the ballpark, the dimensions, the fact that it's a tiny baby ballpark, your team is built to it, and you're going to get 21,000 fans over 3 days. You're going to get 7,000 fans a game. Yeah, there's some advantages to be able to do those things. That's for sure. So we'll talk about that as we go on throughout the show today. Let's get to our man of the weekend. It's important, and we do it next on 1620 The Zone. time for our man of the weekend. I like receiving some of these intermittently over the weekend from you all. I got a man of the weekend. I got a man of the weekend. Just send it to us. Please do. Any way you'd like to get in touch with the show, whether it be an email or a tweet, or even this morning with a comment on the YouTube from Debo, who says, man of the weekend, Tage Thompson, 2 goals in the third to help propel the Buffalo Sabres to their first playoff win in 15 years. That's right. The Sabres won 4-3 over the Boston Bruins, which I support any Boston team losing really ever. And so,
except for my team, though.
Nope, I support them losing too.
Baylor Sherman. Think about Baylor Sherman.
I like when Baylor wins, but at what cost, Joey?
Boston Baylor.
You have to think about this.
Boston Baylor.
At what cost? The city of Boston? No, thank you. 4-3 Sabres. Go Buffalo. Go Josh Allen.
Boo Boston.
Yeah.
Just to put a capital on.
That is Debo's man of the weekend. Headley says it's Will Bolt. Will Bolt is the man of the weekend. What do you think about that?
Yeah, he could be. I mean, he could be the man of the weekend. I think there's no shortage of people on that team that would earn the opportunity.
A lot of dudes were hitting this weekend.
Yeah.
Who's your man of the weekend?
My man of the weekend is Asher Cohen, who is on the Nebraska men's gymnastics team, and he won the rings title, Nebraska's first individual title in a long time, and also the first time they've won the rings title since 1982, which was last won by Jim Hartung, who passed away, was heavily involved with Nebraska gymnastics.
Indeed.
And so big weekend for the gymnastics program.
Asher
Cohen.
Now that's a 2026 name.
Yeah.
Asher.
Asher.
Some good Ashers. Okay, nice. Very, very, very good job, Schaefer. I wouldn't have mentioned that. Joey, what do we got?
My man of the weekend, shirts.
Shirts.
People are wearing shirts at very important, high profile events. Have you heard about this? The San Antonio Spurs. Take a look at if you're watching on the Zone TV.
Oh,
you see the Spurs have their little throwback colors in the stands. It was kind of similar to what the Utah Jazz has done like several years ago when they did the hot colors,
or even Utah State with the cow, right?
Yeah,
when they did the cow out.
Yep.
I love the Fiesta. I think that's what they call it, the Fiesta.
Yeah, that's what they called it
for San Antonio. Now, I think you could, we don't need to have just a small critique is the entire NBA doesn't need to be throwback jerseys from the 90s, but this is pretty cool this is pretty cool as a one-off, especially considering the Spurs are so bland and they're just black and white and silver and all that stuff. Like
just a bland organization.
It's a bland organization. And
that has Popovich, who is not bland, I guess, but wants to be.
Yeah.
Did you see videos of Popovich showing up at practice?
Yeah, he's in pretty rough shape.
Yeah, he is, but it's good to see him around though.
It is
one of the best figures in the NBA.
And so I don't need every NBA team to revert back to what their 90s identity was, but there are certain exceptions where I'm like, this is good, and this is certainly one.
I definitely don't need them to all the time, but if all of them just wanted to do it once in a great while, then I'd probably be okay with it.
Once in a great while.
Sign me
Some
up
of
for
them
that.
certainly better than others.
There's so many different jerseys and court designs and stuff like that they do in the NBA. It just feels like it's way overkill, and I can't.
Minor league baseball-ish.
It is. It very much
Speaking
is.
of court designs, they're going to bring back the NBA Finals trophy onto the court for the NBA Finals. They're going to put Larry back like they did in the 2000s.
Thank God.
Yeah.
What did they do with it? What did they do with it the last couple of years?
They just did not put it on the
He
court.
was gone.
It was just filled up with YouTube TV ads on the court.
Disgusting. That's terrible.
Like 6 of them.
That is terrible. Kevin writes in, my man of the weekend is your undefeated Papio United Rugby 7U 7E high school team. I don't know what that means, but rugby. Shout out to Papio United Rugby.
We got a little Monday shout outs.
Monday shout outs, Friday shout outs. It's all the same. Gus Mohawk says my man of the weekend is Luke Kennard. He's stepping up and when he's needed and helping the Lakers make a run in the playoffs. Lakers in 5.
Boo.
Is this true? Is Luke Kennard stepping up?
Yeah, he did. He hit 5 for 6 from behind the arc. He almost scored 30 in that game against the Rockets. He was just hitting on all cylinders.
That was one of the not blowouts that we had over the weekend.
LeBron couldn't really do anything, so he had to rely on his role player, Luke.
I want
a Luke in some form.
So
not a Luka.
LeBron had 13 assists.
What is Joey talking about?
Yeah,
LeBron couldn't really do anything in a game.
Scoring wise, I should have specified scoring wise.
So, but this is like the best case scenario of 40-year-old LeBron.
Yeah, it is. But
he's scoring. If he's scoring 19 points and 13 assists in a playoff game
with 8 rebounds, so he nearly has a triple double.
He was probably the best player.
I'm just saying the old man's not really scoring, but he's just giving the ball up like he should be.
I think you just wanted to take a shot at LeBron, and it doesn't work in the context.
No, it doesn't. I tried my best.
LeBron is good.
I just don't like LeBron in the Lakers.
My man of the weekend is the New York Mets. All of them. Including, but not limited to, MJ Melendez, who is actually hitting quite well as a member of the New York Mets, which is frustrating me to no end.
What if just MJ Melendez? It's like the inverse. You get rid of MJ Melendez, the team will go up. He goes down.
That has not been the case.
Well,
that has not been the case so far because the Royals did get rid of MJ Melendez.
Maybe everyone's relationship with MJ Melendez is different.
That's true. Well, so far the case is if you've ever had or currently have MJ Melendez, you suck. And that is the story this year. Why are the Mets the man of the weekend? Because they share the worst record in baseball with my beloved Kansas City Royals.
Incredible.
And they provide some lighthearted fodder and laughing at, the ability to laugh at them is a tradition as old as time in Major League Baseball.
They're terrible.
It's so much fun. They do everything horribly, usually to start the season. Another season has gone on. I'm sure the Mets fans talked themselves into the offseason about them being good, and I'm sure they signed a free agent or something like that. Actually, I think the story for them this offseason was that they didn't sign anyone. So that's pretty funny. And, they still have a lot of good players on their team, but they stink.
They signed Bo Bichette.
I
just get my Mets updates from Frank the Tank. That's all I need to know.
Oh, I bet he's real happy about this.
Oh, yeah.
This is not good for Frank.
They're
poor
terrible.
Frank and his heart.
You could just play that drop over and over with the Mets every single time. Now, Juan Soto's been out, but in baseball, one player being gone usually doesn't lead to a 12-game losing streak.
It does not.
So
I think it's 11 right now.
Yeah, there was a lot of hype about their series with LA because it was like the $1 billion series or whatever because of these two payrolls.
Yeah.
Those teams are in dramatically different places.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, at least if you're bad, be like the Royals and just don't spend money, that would be a great move.
And
you can't be bad and spend all the money.
It's nonsensical how bad they are.
So the Royals will play the Orioles today in a baseball game in Kansas City. And unfortunately, the Mets don't have an opportunity to lose. They take the day off, which means by the end of today, we could have a new leader for worst record in baseball. So
wow.
I am thanking the Mets today before the Royals dip down underneath them in the loss column.
They could beat Baltimore.
Of course they can beat Baltimore. They can beat anyone who's not the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. But will they, Schaefer? That's the question.
I have no idea.
Will they?
They've even started scoring runs, and it hasn't helped them enough. Well, not so much the last 2 games, but prior to that.
Yeah, they have one game every 4 where they score some runs, and that's the game where their pitching explodes.
Yeah. The worst.
That's how it goes. That's my man of the weekend. Shout out to the New York Mets. Nice job by those guys.
They're terrible.
They are terrible. Before we take a break, I want to tell you about something. The Bananas and Bangers sweepstakes. What's your walk-up song? Let us know, and you could win a 4-pack of sweet tickets to see the Bananas play at Haymarket Park on June 12th, $200, and a free duct cleaning from McCarthy's 1 Hour Heating and Air. Could you believe that deal? It's powered by McCarthy's 1 Hour Heating and Air. You can enter online for Bananas and Bangers at 1620thezone.com. I didn't see this from YouTube. Bada Bing 89 writes in on YouTube. Man of the week is Will Bolt, a former Husker player turned coach that looks like it's working out. LOL. Hey, just because one Scott Frost happened doesn't mean the rest of them are doomed forever. Okay. Has Amy Williams not had success?
Right.
Has Will Bolt not had success? Just because you guys are always trying to make excuses for Scott Frost. Well, he couldn't do it because he was a player, and it just it means so much to come back to your. I hate when people say that stuff. You will hear that narrative come from time to time. It's like, well, it's really hard to go back to your alma mater. No, it's not. What makes it harder for you than it does for anyone else? The fact that you know things. The fact that you know where the bodies are buried and you know people and you have previously existing relationships. I get it. It was probably harder for him because some of the things he did in college. But dear God, guys.
Yeah, no, the only version of it that makes sense to me is when it's like phrased like it's definitely harder when you fail at a place like that because it changes what your relationship is.
Yeah, but I always hear
that's not like it's not. It doesn't mean it'll be more difficult to go back to where you were. It's just the reality of if it doesn't work, it's
then you can't go
shades
back.
How everyone feels about you.
Maybe if you act like a jackwagon while you're here.
Acting like a jackwagon does not help.
If you could try to act like a non-jackwagon and still lose, would people accept him back? Yes.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think people would still accept him back anyway. Like
I think so too.
I think people want to like Scott Frost, as evidenced by the fact that he got as many chances as he did.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of think that most of it is him not wanting to like the people.
It's what it seems like to me as well.
Now, there's certain people that will never like him, and they have their reasons, and
that's okay.
Fine. You don't have to.
Got a press release from Friday. It's about the stadium. This came in at 9:15. We talked about it at the tail end of the show. Had some chances to sort of sift through the reaction here. It's first of all, I think it's funny what you guys care about. But I suppose I should give you the facts of it first.
Nuts and bolts.
This coming Friday, the University of Nebraska Board of Regents will approve Nebraska Athletics' bold and historic plan to transform Memorial Stadium. It's called the Big Red Rebuild. The redesigned stadium will offer improved access, seat comfort, enhanced sight lines, upgraded amenities throughout the entire stadium, a newly connected east and west bowl that allows 360 degrees in the main concourse. It'll make it easier than ever to move throughout the stadium. An important priority for Nebraska fans. Seating 80,000 fans after full completion in time for the 2028 season. The plan includes an additional 20,000 new chairbacks to elevate comfort, 7,000 seats dedicated to Nebraska students and band members. Nebraska's student athletes are a very important part of the game day experience at Memorial Stadium, and the noise and excitement, blah, 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 blah. Improved ADA accessibility, of which there was really none in South Stadium, will ensure that every fan can be a part of the game day experience. It will deliver transformative impact throughout without relying on taxpayer dollars. So who's paying for it? Here's your answer. Here's what I love the words that are used in this. So basically the bullet point is $250 million they're getting, it's coming from donations, coming from Nebraska. Nebraska's on the hook for it. 350 is just loans. Here's how it's written in the press release, which I always love. It will be funded by leveraging a strategic mix of at least $250 million in philanthropic support and $350 million in private bond financing. The project will be a powerful economic engine for Nebraska, projected to create more than 7,300 new jobs and drive an estimated $1.1 billion in statewide economic impact. Annual revenue from the stadium is now expected to reach $95 million, an increase of over 40% above current levels, and positions Nebraska to compete and lead at the highest level in a rapidly evolving college athletics landscape. They are going to, work is already underway. They're going to knock down South Stadium after in the immediate hours and days after the season ends this year. And then capacity will reduce to 65,000 during the 2027 season. And then hopefully it'll be done by 2028, although I am a little dubious.
I'm dubious of a lot of the things that were said in there.
What are you dubious about,
I'm
Mike?
dubious about the revenue projection, which is based on reaching capacity and selling your season tickets to getting people to pay at the prices of which they're at. It's just based on factors that I'm somewhat a little dubious on, that they're going to get to 95 million out of this.
Okay.
Now maybe they do, because prices of everything by the time the stadium is actually fully complete in 2028 will just be up, and so revenue will go up with that too. But I don't know. There's other aspects. I'm always dubious of any time a team or entity releases their economic impact.
Yeah.
Projections, those are always fairly rosy, no matter what. But and
if
then
I wrote
the 2028.
If I wrote an economic impact sheet, I would be rosy. I'd say we're going to make a lot of money next year.
I'm trying to think of the scenario in which you would not be. Like, you're relatively a rosy individual.
That's true. And that's why we should say, that's why I want to say, before we get into some nitpicks or whatever, this is great. This is a good plan. I saw some pushback, and you have been seeing pushback over the last several months, years, I guess, since this has really been a talking point around here. This is something that Nebraska needs to do.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think you can quibble about what they're doing and then how much it's going to cost people to be involved if they want to be season ticket holders from a donation standpoint. The numbers are really high, really high. But the stadium has to be, they have to make changes to it. Structurally have to make changes to it. Have to modernize it. And then figure out how to create a much better game day experience. But those are things that have to be done. So you had to get to this point at some point. Now, if you don't like the design, if you don't like what they're doing in South Stadium, I can understand all of that.
I would imagine, I think there's a lot of stuff in this project that didn't get talked about on day one, just because, hey, here's the bones of it. Here's the big wide scope
Cost,
of it.
projected timelines, projected revenue.
This is what you need to know.
Right.
As far as the details are concerned, I think there's a lot that we don't know publicly yet. I would imagine that a big part of this is going to be these quote unquote revenue generating areas. So to go back to your revenue piece, Schaefer, I sort of believe that. Obviously it's a rosy picture. There's going to be a lot of new opportunities to have great game day experiences, I think, as far as whether it's sitting in the suites or in loge boxes or things like that. A lot of new opportunities to do that, I think, available to more people as well. So I think there will be a lot of that stuff. This is the modern trend with building a new stadium or upgrading existing facilities. You are creating, you're putting in a lot of luxury seating. That's what you're doing. So you can make more money off them, and you're making money off of them 365 days a year instead of just, making money for game day or something like that. So these people own the suites and they own the boxes and things like that, or they put corporate sponsors on it and things like that. And so they'll have the opportunity to do that if they're given the opportunity to do that. And the new South Stadium, and some improvements that they're going to do on both of the other sides, East and West, are going to give them the opportunity to do that as well. And so I think a lot of that is, aside from the improvements that you need to make, the $200 million in deferred, what maintenance that they're working on, that is the story of what they're doing. Yes, I think the headline is you're trying to say, hey, we're going to make our fans more comfortable. We're going to put in chair backs, and we're going to give them a brand new, ADA compliant South Stadium, of course. But really, Nebraska is basically
from I think you should leave, and he's trying to say I need to find a way to make money off of this thing, and that's what they're doing. It's such a great idea. I need to find a way to make money off of this. That's what they're saying, and that's what they're going to be doing with this project. There's no doubt about it. That's the big thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, I anticipate a lot of that is so heavily tied to Nebraska has to win more football games too. Like, I mean, there's no doubt. Like,
is it?
The performance on the field has to carry over. Otherwise, I don't know. I wonder. Like, even the 80,000 feels like it could be high.
Yeah, we can
5
talk
years.
about capacity. For some reason, people have such a big thing about capacity. I think for the revenue generating stuff, for the suites and the boxes and I don't know that is.
Yeah, but you got to have people to sell them to.
Yeah,
like so the product. Like, I think the product is in a really fascinating point where the people that are going to be involved in making the decisions as to whether I want to have a suite at Memorial Stadium for every event that comes through. But yeah, there's certain businesses that are always going to do that. But I think there's becoming less where it's like, okay, I want this on my financial balance sheet because, frankly, what am I getting out of it? And we can get enough tickets or other things available. The scarcity of going to Nebraska football or these events. I mean, you think about Zach Bryan and like a concert like that at one point in time seems like it might have been a huge deal. And now, I think there's plenty of secondary tickets throughout the market. So I just wonder if there's enough businesses that really are seeking out premium level seating if the product continues to sort of spin its wheels like this. Like that's why when we talked about this is something that if it would have happened 10 years ago, feels like it would have just been a massive slam dunk. And now it has to happen. So there's no other way around it. It's just, I don't know that you're going to get the full throat support behind the premium stuff unless the team really takes a jump.
Yeah. I guess I don't know. I won't pretend to know the appetites of the big spenders around here, but I don't think it's ever really been an issue, and I don't anticipate it being an issue anytime soon.
I think that the more of a generation of people that have grown up with a football team that's so versus the people that live their lives throughout the 70s, 80s, 90s making those decisions.
I get it. And like Headley writes in, he says, who doesn't want to spend thousands of dollars to watch mediocre football? Like, I get what you guys are saying. We're thinking about this from I have this money and this is how I like to spend my money.
Right.
And I don't want to waste my time this way. This is not how these people think. I mean,
again, I'm just saying like the donor class is changing. That's what I'm getting.
That's true.
And so, Nebraska, it's inherent on them to figure out a way to have more success if they're going to really maximize the revenue generation.
Yeah. I mean, whether they get to the 95 that they say or not, I don't know. I don't know that we'll have an idea one day, but
we have no idea what the cost of everything's going to be in 2028. $35 beers in the stadium by that point. Who knows?
Yeah, it's gonna have the opportunity to generate more money for them. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, no. This is not. I'm not trying to come at this like they should just save all of this money and funnel it into the program through NIL or whatever. Like that's not the route that I'm coming from. To me, it's more of just like, man, it feels like they have been on the wrong side of every stadium type of thing for over 20 years now. They expanded at probably the worst possible time where college athletics starts to go in a different direction and they're trying to run their stadium up to close to 100,000, in 2008 through 2012, however long it took to complete the East Stadium thing. And then, you've known for years, and it was the thing that basically one of the issues that Trev Alberts just simply wasn't. It was a mess. Like the stadium thing has been a mess and will continue to be a mess. And I'm fascinated how it's going to go. When you said that they'll bring the South Stadium down after the end of the season. And so like you'll basically have a timeline of December through.
Yeah, it's an aggressive timeline.
through July
there's
to
no
have
doubt.
that thing up and ready to go? Like to
No. I mean, it won't be done for 2027.
right, but
Yeah.
I mean, then how many thousands of people are affected by that? What is it all? And it's
Apparently the capacity will go down to
65. Is that right? Yeah, that's what I thought I saw. So, yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated by how it's all going to work out. Again, they had to do something. So you're trying to eventually get the ball rolling or get it going on that because it had to happen to some level. So what the end product is and if it's going to be a big revenue generator, I think, again, is really tied to can this football team pull out of this sort of 10-year malaise.
So I want to hear from you guys, and I don't know, Schaefer. I'm trying to read you right now. Or like, how do you feel about this? Is this
again? Like I think it had to happen.
It just kind of feels like you're just like, yeah.
I'm mainly just at this point where I'm sort of annoyed by everything that's happening with the seeding with across all of the sports. So you have the volleyball stuff. It's going to happen in basketball where it will come off of a year in which you have all of these people that have been going to games for years, and they're going to do a reseat of it because they're going to make more. The lower bowl is going to get more expensive. Premium seating is going to get more expensive. Doesn't matter if you've sat somewhere for a while. We're just going to kick up the cost of all of these tickets and move people and everything else. I'm just sort of like at some point, and especially with football, there just has to be a greater return on investment of what you're asking fans to do.
I think there will be a lot of people who, we talked about this years ago, who, when there is a reseating process, you will have prices change. You will have those folks that are grandfathered in for, from donations to the athletic department or seat licenses, the yearly seat license fees that makes up the bulk of the cost, actually attached to the ticket and attached to the seat, who will be given the opportunity, much like it was when they moved from Rosenblatt to Charles Schwab Field. It's like, hey, look, we're gonna put you here. This is your new place at your same level, at your same donation price, whatever it is. You could either take it or leave it, Yeah. And there's going to be some folks who leave it. That's
absolutely.
And that's okay.
There's going to be some folks that leave it every year, regardless of whether there's big changes or not. Yeah. Like that's just sort of what's happening here. I just wonder if they're overshooting with what some of these donation levels are, the appetite of what some people are willing to donate every year for 7 tickets in a stadium where tickets are readily available. And so I don't think their season ticket numbers have been doing particularly well coming into this project. And so, again, like, I don't know that what the average fan is going to get out of this stadium, and the stadium experience has increased so much that they're going to be willing to pay the donations that are going to go up with it and everything else. So I'm just kind of fascinated by what the appetite is, because we're obviously in a really weird off season to begin with, and then we'll go ahead and we'll see what this season looks like and where this program sort of finds itself in the middle of this really big renovation for the stadium.
So this is a good time to talk about capacity. Some of the other topics, by the way, are included, but are not limited to, why don't they just spend the money on NIL instead of a new stadium, which is a great topic, excellent topic. And then I also have a question for you all, and it is, are you serious about the troughs thing? So those are for later.
There's one more that we don't have an answer to that I am curious about. What are they doing with the student section?
Great question.
They haven't really released a full kind of like this. They've said in there there'll be an area for students in the band. Yeah. Just haven't said where.
Yeah, I'm sure that's in the plans.
Yeah.
They just don't exactly want to release that yet, because
some of this makes me wonder,
especially considering the renderings they put out on Friday, like. You weren't able to see any. I mean, it was just a
basic
generated picture of like, here's what it could look like if there was a new South Stadium. Like, that's not what it's going to look like for the most part. There will be a whole bunch of bells and whistles on the inside of that.
I thought you were making a joke about how they weren't going to get night games, even though I guess they've been getting a lot more night games lately.
Was one of the pictures a night game?
I think it was a night picture, wasn't it?
I guess I don't know. I guess I don't.
I think one of them. I think one of them was.
Anyway, 65,000 for the construction year of the 2027 season, and then When you return, which apparently will be before the start of the 2028 season, when you return to full capacity and when you are fully operational, it will be 80,000, in the neighborhood of 80,000. And so, like I said, like we've said before, for some reason, Nebraskans and Nebraska fans have a really high amount of pride in being a big, giant stadium and having a full capacity. And I don't know. I don't know what it is. Take pride in that. Personally, I'd rather have a full stadium with less people.
Yeah. Give me less.
It feels too big. It still feels too big. And I don't think you'll have a problem selling out or selling the seats, as we've been talking about a little bit over the last 15 or 20 minutes here. But I think now would have been a great opportunity to really pare it down and really, really take a look at, all right, okay, we could do these revenue generating positions in these loge boxes and suites and all those different things. And we'll do them across the stadium. And we'll really pair it in, and we'll really get serious about the fan experience and how difficult it is to play there. Because, like Dan had said, this will be the next couple generations of Nebraskans and Nebraska fans that will get to experience in the stadium in the current form there is. Now, it goes like a jigsaw puzzle. That there's going to be another area of the stadium, probably the west and the north, that'll be due for some renovations after this project is done. It'll be like, oh, okay, we need to work on that again. But anyway, they're keeping the capacity at 80,000. And some people, I was listening on Sportsmanlike Conduct on Friday, like the general sentiment, what I heard back on that was that the capacity was not enough, that it needed to be more, that they were angered that it wasn't what it is right now, which is what, 86 or 87,000.
Yeah,
which I couldn't even fathom. I didn't even put that in my brain as a potential possibility.
In the 90s.
Yeah, it did at one point, but like what it is right now is 86 or 87.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even put that in my brain as a potential possibility of a reaction from people. I just figured they'd be really, like, for the people who were getting into the measuring stick contest of what your attendance was, or what your capacity is for your stadium, I would have thought 80,000 ish would be a great compromise from where things are at right now, which is not much of a capacity reduction at all. I thought we were going into the low 70s.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping
at least.
I was hoping for like a 72, and you kind of can resituate people in there in terms of space and everything else. Like and it's been a while since I've watched a game, like watched a Nebraska game, I suppose, from the seats in, like, say, a North Stadium or a South Stadium. Everyone I talk to, the experience is not like a super enjoyable thing. Like, if you're in the East Stadium
when they put
balcony,
chairbacks
I think that would help. Just like the sort of
that's most of it for me. It's just
15-inch bench seat or whatever.
There's not enough room for everyone who's assigned to the
anywhere.
bench to sit on the bench.
So that's part of it. Like, I'm fascinated how they do South Stadium so that there's available concessions and restrooms, and like a lot of it, if you're sitting in towards the tops of North Stadium, like, to just get anywhere, I'm told during a halftime is borderline impossible.
In North?
Just like, because it's hard to get around anywhere. Like, depending on where you sit.
Yeah, you have to have, you in the new South Stadium, which once again is going to be torn down and rebuilt.
Right.
So they're going to have exit points.
Yeah. But it's just
in North Stadium, you didn't actually take the facade of the stadium down. You just rebuilt behind it. And so, like, you were still a little bit limited as to what you could do. It's nice to have that concourse back there in North Stadium, but there's still only 4 opportunities for you to get there.
Yeah.
I would imagine there's more in the new South.
And about 20,000 people in your area.
A lot.
So it's, I don't know, like it's a difficult conversation for me because much of my watching experience since 2009 has been sitting in what I regard to be the best part of the stadium, which is in the press box, where I get served cookies during halftime.
Oh, that could use some upgrades too.
Oh yeah. I would say that, but at the same time, having been to many of the other Big Ten press box, the Nebraska setup is about as good as it gets.
Yeah. And maybe there will be some things that happen as a part of this project too, with areas that we just don't really know about yet.
Right.
There's that piece of it. But I want to hear from you guys. Like, do you really care that Nebraska's capacity? I can't believe we're talking about, like, I can't believe this is the topic, that people were frustrated that Nebraska's capacity came down like 7,000 people from an entire stadium
I'm
redo.
not amazed that I thought everybody just conceded it was going to come down.
I know.
That's the part that surprises me.
I really don't. I'm really. There used to be. This used to be the way. It used to be sort of an arms race on how big you could build your stadium and how many people you could jam into your old rickety stadium. It's not the case anymore. That's not the game we play anymore, and that's not the game I want to play anymore. That's the game of 1973. I don't need to do that anymore. These mixed use gigantic like 100,000 seat stadiums.
Right.
I mean, that's ridiculous. We went away from those years ago at the professional level. There's no need to have them at all. And there's no need for your stadium, which is a college football stadium that gets used 7 times a year, to hold 100,000 people or to hold 90,000 people or really to hold 80,000 people, even though they sell it out on a game by game basis. But Schaefer was just talking about the ticket demand and all that different stuff, which is just down and down and down and down. And so there's really no need to do it. There really isn't. And I was amazed at some of the reaction that I saw on Friday. So I want to hear from you guys more on it. 402-951-1620. You could also tweet at us at HappenSchafe. We'll be monitoring all of those things. We'll come back, get your reaction, and then a couple more things as we return on Happer Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. All right, a couple comments here. Here's Matthew. He says, I miss the old family atmosphere of Memorial Stadium during the 80s and 90s before it turned into corporate suites and bloated ticket prices. Yeah, I would just say that is literally everywhere. And that's something that everybody, I mean, whoever the administration is in charge has to, really think about that on a grand scale. And no athletic director in the country is going to be like, yeah, I mean, I really love our fan experience and I would do everything to make our fan experience better. And that would include leaving a whole bunch of money on the table by not getting donations from corporate sponsors, getting money from corporate sponsors and seat licensing fees. Nobody is going to say that. I'm sorry. Like I agree with you. I miss the old atmospheres that we have at all of our venues, whether it be across the state or across the country. And the only way you really get a feel of that is when your team is really, really good,
I don't miss the Devaney at all when it comes to basketball. So there's an old atmosphere.
Okay,
that,
nice.
See, that was a change for the better.
You're not, because a lot of people are mildly nostalgic for the Devaney Center.
Oh, hell no.
Really?
It was, I mean, there's no comparison of watching basketball at Pinnacle Bank Arena and watching basketball at the Devaney.
Yeah.
And maybe if you were someone
I'm mildly nostalgic for the Civic Center, but I understand that the arena downtown is like 5,000 times better.
Yeah. Well,
I miss the piss smell.
I miss what made it ours. I don't know. There's just aspects of the Devaney I can understand where someone's like, yeah, I kind of miss that. I don't.
I miss Rosenblatt occasionally, but I know that the stadium downtown is better.
I just when it comes to specifically the Devaney for Nebraska basketball, I have no nostalgia at all.
Nothing
for that building. I have nostalgia for being a college student.
Okay.
And all of the experience of that, like that's, forever where I'll wrap that building into. And then nostalgia for the teams of which played in that building. But I would take Pinnacle Bank over Bob Devaney every single time and never, ever think about, the alternate.
Yeah, of course. I mean, of course, if given the option one or the other, you're going with the
like
new
there's no
and better one.
There's no pangs. Like I totally get Rosenblatt. I understand that. Like there was like a whole vibe of it. Every Nebraska basketball game felt like it was the same as going to a Class A, game for the high school basketball.
Which was awesome.
Yeah, that was great. But this is college. The atmosphere was never enhanced by the Devaney Center. Is that fair? Like, I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to tell because they were mostly so bad.
Well, that's part of it,
I don't remember any time of their success in the 90s. I only remember I only went to a few Nebraska basketball games at Devaney ever. And most of I probably went to more state tournament games.
I was going to say you probably went to more central games than you did,
which were great.
Right.
I remember when there was 12,000 people there in the entire town of Norfolk. In the 2010 Class A state championship.
This is not to besmirch the basketball tournament. It's to say that the quality of basketball and the basketball just in general that was happening at the Devaney for me, there's nothing to be nostalgic about.
There was something in the
really large pictures of the people.
This is a crappy place, but it's ours, and it kind of fits our crappy program.
I want the nice, clean.
Of course you do. Yeah, but there was a certain. I think there was a certain, and I'm seriously not saying this tongue in cheek. There was a certain pride that people took in, this is a unique place because it's Nebraska basketball, and Nebraska basketball is really weird.
And I think there's a unique pride as it relates to Nebraska basketball. I don't know that I ever picked up that it stemmed from the Devaney itself.
I don't know if it stemmed from it, but it was a part of it. It contributed to it.
It's certainly part of the mystique of the bad basketball of the 2000s.
That's all. Yeah.
I will allow for that.
Anytime any people my age, they're asked to name a random Nebraska basketball player, it's dudes that played in 2006. And it's not Alex March,
Ryan Anderson,
Cookie Miller,
Sek Henry.
Sek Henry. Now
Paul Valin.
Now we're getting exactly. Now, when the kids these days are doing their podcasts, they're talking about former Nebraska ball players. They're talking about dudes that play. They're talking about Cam Mack.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Gervais Green,
That's not a throwback.
Matei Kavas,
Yeah, nice, good one.
Kevin Cross,
who
threw a basketball game while at Tulane.
he was implicated.
He was.
He was implicated indeed.
Hope it works out well for Kevin.
Speaking of the Devaney Center, the volleyball team plays the Devaney Center, or should I say the Bob Devaney Sports Center at John Cook Arena at Terry Pettit Court. I think that's all of them, right?
Sounds right.
They played on Friday night. I wanted to say that it was a lot of fun seeing the atmosphere at speaking of stadium atmosphere at Sokol on Friday night between Nebraska and Creighton. It was I thought it was very cool to see. It was probably about 70-30 Creighton fans, which you don't ever see, but it's such a small building, and Creighton season ticket holders sort of gobbled up all the tickets, and they go but then so I think there was an intensity about it for the first maybe 3 points, and then it was oh yeah, this is an exhibition. And it was kind of everybody just having fun the rest of the night. We pulled coaches over for interviews, and after the first in the first time out, Brian Rosen, Creighton's coach, mentioned something about he'd like to see all the blue, which I thought was great. And then I had Jalen Reyes after the first set, and I asked him about the atmosphere too, and he was like, he was really, really complimentary. He was like, this is like a bucket list thing, and this is a great environment, great atmosphere. I mean, I'm sure he was playing it up for
you think
whatever.
You have talking points?
No, he was really, really good and really appreciative. And said thanks to Creighton for having us. And I think so you saw a lot of what we talked about on Friday, the sort of all for one for all volleyball. I
genuinely think
which was going on a lot.
The people involved with Nebraska volleyball want as much success for Creighton when they are not playing Nebraska as anyone could possibly. I
think so.
Volleyball is very much like a collective. This state roots for everything to do well because so much of it is this state produces really high-end players. That's this specific sport.
Yeah.
And puts them all over the country.
And they're both going to be really good again, I think, this year. Nebraska's obviously going to be terrific. Creighton, I think, is a work in progress. They're still without a couple of, one of their major players who's currently attending school at Kansas and finishing up there before she ends up at Creighton. So that'll be a big deal, and they'll sort of have to come together too. But it was a fun night on Friday. Let's take a quick phone call before we get to the headlines. Here's Matt on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Hey, Matt. Good morning.
Yeah. Hey, guys. I just called because I went to UNL in the 90s, and I can share that the atmosphere was really pretty bad. The students could get right on the floor, the middle of the floor. There'd be 20 of us there, and the biggest games would be pretty good, but all the other ones that weren't huge games was terrible. It was sit on your hands was the rallying cry. So good riddance to that.
Okay. Guys. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. I'll tell you what I miss. I miss the location of the student sections.
Oh, yeah.
Those were great.
That's why a big part of the football stadium is hey, what are they going to do here? Are you going to put them in a bowl? Are you going to put them down low? Are you going to stick them up high? Because that was the conversation.
This is now
shove them all up into the corner
of the day has gone by in sports. I mean, we are not going to. I'm sorry, and this hurts to hear. I think for a lot of people, we are not going to be giving the students the best seats in the game anymore. We don't care enough. We don't care so much about their impact on the actual game to be able to get us X amount more wins than it would be for the importance of us to make more money off of putting rich people there. Plain and simple. That's as simple as I can make it. Do I like it? Of course not. I love stadium atmospheres. I'm a sports fan. Of course I don't like it, but I understand what these athletic directors are tasked with. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah, no, I understand it too. I just look around and you can see in places where they still have stadiums that are successful, the students can be down in the lower bowl. There's a way to do that.
Oh yeah. Oh, they can.
There's definitely, and I say lower bowl, but I mean, I'm thinking about some of the SEC stadiums where they fill up one of the end zones, or mean, you have that in other of the Big Ten stadiums, but I'm not over here like championing what's going on at Champaign. Like Nebraska needs a better environment and a better stadium than that. And they have when their student section shows up.
You're
it's
talking
great.
about football, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about football. And I don't want to see it shoved into the top corner of the South Stadium because I know what will happen. It's going to largely sit empty then. Like they're, students.
I wish it was more, and this has gone away for 10 or 15 years now. It just doesn't seem like it's super duper ingrained into the culture of Nebraska students to be there and be locked in at the football game.
Right.
It seems like a little bit more of a social thing.
That's a decade of just growing up with bad Nebraska football.
Yep.
Like I continually think about how wild it would be, particularly with the sort of experience I had growing up in this state at the age that I was, of when a lot of these high school seniors, college freshmen were born, and just like what they watched for Nebraska football. It was not good.
Nothing. Not much.
And so now, like,
I thought it was bad for me. It's really bad for them.
The 7-win season is a high mark for a fair amount of people in terms of what
remember my favorite season, 2016.
Yeah.
I was in 4th grade. And Tommy Armstrong.
That's what it was.
Missed the last 2 games of the season because he tore his hamstring.
And that guy wore the Arby's logo on his hand.
Let's take a break. Let's hit the headlines after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, time for Joey's headlines on this Monday morning. Welcome back, Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, the Zone mobile app, and the Zone Radio Network, and YouTube, and all the other things. Joey, what do we have?
All right, first headline: police arrest man who replaced $34,000 worth of Lego pieces with pasta.
Fascinating, and that's like an auto click to me, I think.
Yeah, I would be surprised if we click on the second story, but I would like to know more about Lego pasta, man.
Me too, but Joey, just tell us what the second headline is, just for fun.
Alrighty, the second headline is 3 Southern California residents sentenced in bear suit insurance fraud scheme.
Okay. While that has some interesting tenets to it, I'm kind of over people in bear suits.
Oh, I didn't know this was a frequent occurrence.
Yeah, I just feel like people are in bear suits a lot.
I'm surprised Matt hasn't taken part of that.
I can think of Danny Duffy.
It's a bear suit, Joel.
I can think of Super Troopers. That's about the extent of.
How about the bear? How about I guess the wolf head Chiefs guy.
Yeah,
Chiefs of
Oh yeah, robbing all those banks.
Yeah. You're just thinking of the Chiefs super fans.
I'm conflating all the different masks and suits into one. Really.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. Dinosaur
again,
costumes.
Fine. I would think just in general though, we shouldn't let Chiefs super fans make us feel differently about things.
I'll try to erase it from my brain.
Erase the fact that you know multiple Chiefs super fans.
All right, so police in California have arrested a man for grand theft, though the bounty isn't a fancy car or pricey electronics, it's Lego pieces. In a pun-heavy release, the Irvine Police Department said that $34,000 worth of Lego pieces were stolen from their boxes from Targets across the U.S., and in some cases replaced with dried pasta. Here is the Instagram press release from the Irvine Police. Everything was awesome in this Lego crime spree until we got involved. A suspect purchased Lego sets from Target and removed valuable minifigures and pieces from the boxes, and in some cases replaced them with dried pasta. You read that correctly. We are talking about the Durham wheat semolina pasta and what we were calling a positively terrible plan. Target reported at least 70 thefts nationwide tied to the same suspect, stacking up somehow only $34,000 in losses. That's a lot of missing pieces. But like most bad builds, this one didn't hold together. IPD detectives snapped into action, conducted surveillance, and identified the suspect. It was Jarrell Augustine, 28 years old, of Paramount, was arrested for grand theft and booked in the Orange County Jail. If your master plan involves swapping Legos for linguine, we can promise your plan will be cooked al dente. That is from the Irvine Police. Thank you. So Jarrell somehow only stole $34,000 of Legos from 70 Targets.
They said 70 instances. It's about $485 an instant.
I guess it's a pretty good trip then.
Which you think Legos, I mean,
That's a good
Legos are
take.
probably somewhere between 60 to a few hundred per set.
Yeah.
Um,
There has been quite the recent obsession from society about Legos.
yeah, I feel like Legos have had a bit of a comeback.
Legos are
some of
having
this
a moment.
is-
I'm not a Legos guy.
I've got nephews that are in the age for it. My brother was a huge Legos person. I like Legos. So I just wondered if I was around it more.
I was never a
Now that
Legos
you
guy.
said
What wasn't for me?
My child is currently building some Lego stuff. But
Like Duplos.
just it's like a little tiny Mickey Mouse clubhouse
Okay.
Lego thing.
Very
And
nice.
she gets mad when I put the Mystery Muscatool spinner thing on the wrong place. She's like, no, do not put it there.
They get very upset if things aren't like
Perfectly
supposed to
done.
be.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No.
Hudson has a version of this. His isn't a Lego one, but it also has a Mystery Muscatool thing that I like to mess with. So this
I like to mess.
speaks to us.
I like to mess with her all the time, and she doesn't have it. She does not understand that I'm teasing her yet.
Get a lot. Stop.
No.
Stop. No.
Another Instagram reel from the Irvine Police Department's page says this: everything was awesome in this Lego crime spree until we got involved, referencing Everything is Awesome from the 2014 film, The Lego Movie.
Did you see that movie? I guess
I
should
did see the Lego Movie. I didn't really care about it. But I did see the Everything is Awesome
Okay.
song, and I was annoyed by it for probably about 4 to 6 weeks afterwards.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
Could definitely see that.
Or even just saying the name of the song title out loud sort of makes me annoyed because I can hear myself almost singing.
Meanwhile, it makes me smile as I enjoyed the entire experience.
Oh, you
In a
love the
very-
Lego movie?
Yeah, I thought the Lego movie was good.
Okay. Yeah, I was
Enjoy.
fine with the
Good.
Lego movie. It's good. It's good. All right, thank you, Joey. Those are the headlines. We are halfway home. 8 o'clock hour coming up. We'll still have Tim Verghese and Michael Bruntz, and plenty to come on 1620 The Zone. All right, we welcome you back. More of Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, the Zone Radio Network, the Zone mobile app. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're halfway home on a Monday. We're going to get back into the stadium here in a few minutes. Tim Verghese is going to join us. Michael Bruntz still coming up in the show. We have our baseball bracket sim, which I'm excited about now. If you thought the pair ratings were high on Nebraska baseball on Friday, what might they think of them now?
Well, we've already seen a sim where they win
Look at me now.
where they win the whole thing.
I know.
So it's kind of like, well,
How much higher can they go?
right. Now it's like, all right, how often are they actually hosting?
I always find the matchups the most intriguing
yeah.
out of the ridiculous bracket sims. which
I
we'll
love
have later.
the first time we got the Creighton, Nebraska in the same region. It's like, okay.
It doesn't take very many sims to get a Creighton, Nebraska regional. That's for sure.
I'd be on board with this. I'd be very on board with this.
Would Nebraska fans be on board with it?
Who knows?
I mean, if you could have just like any other random 3 or 4,
I would guess not,
or replace them with Creighton, probably no, right?
Not that I want to wade back into these waters, but I assume not, given the PTSD of losing to Iowa in the NCAA tournament. So, maybe it's maybe they don't want.
People did forget.
With it.
You know what? I kind of forgot they lost to Iowa.
Yeah, because it's not as important as the fact that
wow, there it is.
Shocking. I'm stunned. Anyways,
speaking of basketball, there were some things that happened to them over the weekend. Spend a couple minutes on this here. So they got more skilled white guys.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Let's hear about these skilled white guys. Bowden Kapke, Trevin Lenhart.
Yeah, the bigger of the two is Trevin Lenhart. Now,
no doubt.
Yeah. Now, not actually the bigger of the two would be Bowden Kapke, because he's going to play the center for
but
Nebraska.
You didn't ask who the taller of the two
No, I did not. Trevin Lenhart, I think when this was all sort of coming together and you were looking at various targets Nebraska was after, this was someone that was really high on my personal list because I think fits the setup really well. He can be a facilitating guard. He's not like a pure point guard, probably more a combo guard than he is anything else. But
he's sort of done a little bit of everything for them over the last couple of years.
Right.
They like Bart
Torvik,
Torvik,
very malleable, if that makes sense.
Bart Torvik does a nice job because they sort of assign a label to them based on some of their statistical outputs. And so in his freshman year, it has him listed as a combo guard. In his sophomore year, which was not this past year, but the year before that, they had him as a pure point guard. And last year they had him as a scoring point guard.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I think there's a little bit of everything in his game. You like the assist rate for sure. And then he possesses the ability to shoot it from 3, although doesn't do so very often. Yeah, I mean, which I think points to the playmaking, part of his game.
Right.
Like if he's not taking up the shots, then he's trying to make plays for people around him, and he'll have ample opportunities to do that with some of the people that are going to be in the backcourt with him.
Right. And I've said a few different times when we've talked about him, he reminds me in a lot of ways of Sam Hoiberg in terms of how he can fill up a stat sheet. He seems to be a very efficient player. And I think combining that with what you already had in Samford and Frager, Sam Orm, who's going to be involved obviously in this, and then now Kapke. I mean, I think that paints a pretty good picture for what Nebraska's starting 5 likely looks like. The bad news that came out of the weekend, if there was any, you lose Tyreek Coleman. He ends up going to Iowa. Yet another loss in basketball to Iowa. And so that guy, I think
Ben McCall,
they liked him a lot. I think Nebraska was very interested in what that picture would look like with Tyreek Coleman, especially with 3 years of eligibility, someone who can get to the rim, someone that plays at a little bit different style and has plus athleticism in a way that your team lacks. I mean, that's still very much an area that, they have, I think, either 1 or 2 portal spots left if you can, and they should have money left. I mean, they didn't spend as much on their big man because Drew Fielder, who is no longer looking at Nebraska or Washington, Could
Drew
potentially.
Fielder is doing a lot of things and visiting a lot of places.
His representation is
Yes.
making fans across the United States,
Yes.
is how it was phrased to me
Mhm.
by a variety of people on Friday.
Interesting.
So, Nate Oates sounds like he might be the recipient of
Shocking.
Yeah, I thought you would
Shocking.
appreciate that. So,
A match made in heaven.
They missed out on a guy where the rumored money was going to be, north of $2 million. And so I don't know what Nebraska's offer to him was, but you assume there's maybe a little extra money there. You missed out on Coleman. The guy, I don't know what they'd be looking for in the portal. That's kind of what this week I'm fascinated. New names emerge, other names emerge, where they end up going with this. But if
You're winding down a little bit.
Yeah, it feels like you can find maybe one more player to add to your class. You're going to feel pretty good about what you put together.
Yeah, I mean, you've created at least a sort of starting, I think, lineup for yourself that you can imagine, and that makes a whole lot of sense with what they were able to put together. And then, another part of that would be Bowden Kapke, who was playing last year at Boston College. So the same thing as Bart does. They had all 3 years, 2 years at Butler and last year at Boston College. All 3 years he's been a stretch 4, which, I mean, he's going to play the 5 for Nebraska, but he's going to play like a stretch 4, not unlike what Rink Mass did, except for it's funny. Rink wasn't, I wouldn't describe Rink Mass as the most physical guy in the world, but he sort of had that type of body where he was,
it's hard to move.
He was at least able to kind of, create some space down there. Kapke is not that. He's not going to be looking to get much of his work done, banging against other dudes in the paint, like he's
I don't
sort
know
of
that they really have that on their roster, to be honest. And that's definitely an area where you might be looking if there's a guy that maybe an undersized, more traditional power forward, something like that.
Or just a backup big that you could say, all right, go out and give me 15 minutes and foul some people and, give me a dunk or two.
Right.
And that is a valuable role. And it certainly would be on this team because it'd be quite the change of pace. As you said, they very much slide toward the skilled part of the skilled to physical.
And maybe need to get a little bit more of the scrap part.
Yeah.
Want to be scrappy and skilled.
So that's the thing you're worried about, I guess, just when you look at the team as it's put together. But at the same time, that's something that nobody has figured out on April 20th.
Right.
I mean,
you get plenty of time to put these guys together and see what it looks like.
You got to put them together, see what it looks like. They don't while they don't possess the inherent physical traits, I think that you might be looking to find in some of your guys. They do have the skill part of it down, which is, I think, more difficult to teach. And they're so scheme heavy on defense that I think they'll be able to create something on the defensive side that looks comparable to what you were doing last year. Now, will it have the edge? Will it have the teeth? Will it have the bite to it that it did last year? That's something that you need to develop over time. But it's, there was always going to be a turnover losing the guys that you lost last year. And I think that's going to be a part of this learning curve for Nebraska going into next year. Ultimately, as we've said a million times, they have a really good coach. That coach has a really good assistant. And I trust those guys to be able to get the most out of whatever they get in the portal, even though I do think it's fair to say the portal piece of it itself was a little bit underwhelming for Nebraska.
Yeah. And I think, again, as we sort of talked about going into it, that was probably always the most likely result. They were never going to I never felt like Nebraska was going to leave their mark on the portal where people were going to be, oh, wow, they went and got one of the 5 best players in the portal, or even one of the 20 best.
It's Nebraska's portal, and everyone else can just get in line.
Yeah. And I think their approach was even that. I mean, what was it?
Agreed.
I don't remember who was talking about this, but they were basically talking about how Hoiberg was sort of making the universal sign for money when it came up as to how strong their portal prospects would be because of everything that occurred. I mean, he's not that he's jaded, but he's realistic in knowing that it was a very awesome experience for the 25-26 Nebraska Cornhuskers. It's hard to bottle that up and make it a sellable thing in the transfer portal era.
Yeah.
Where guys are just going to be paid overwhelming amounts of money.
He is uninterested in entertaining guys who, the guys like Fielder who are shopping themselves
Yeah,
to
I mean,
every
they don't
high major
want to
program
be,
in the country.
They
don't want
know
that.
they can't win in that sort of environment.
Yeah.
So why bother?
Exactly.
And I
agree.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
You're not wasting your time.
And so if you find, every situation is different. If you find the right quality of player / person who you're like, yeah, I feel like we need to pay those guys. Nebraska has already shown the message that I think they're trying to send is, look, we don't have any problem with paying guys. We have money. It's just that we like to pay the guys that have already played for us. They're going to be paying a lot of money to Price Sanford and Braden Frager this year. That's the deal, and that's where most of it goes to.
They're way more likely to try to pay the guy a lot more the second year than they are trying to entice someone with a lot of pay to come to play for 1 year.
Absolutely.
And whether that's the right route or not, I mean, we'll find out. It seems to have worked for them pretty well.
Meanwhile, speaking of getting paid, after we left on Friday, our dear friend Berke Buchtengel committed to Vanderbilt. What? He has a tattoo. Have you seen Berke's tattoo?
I have.
The 28-7, the 28-1 was Vanderbilt.
We talked about this, right? Like
we did?
That this was a possibility.
We mentioned that they were the school to watch out for. To add on, Bangot Dak.
I heard this too.
Also headed to Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
The transfer from Colorado, who people eyeball emojied right away when he entered the transfer portal. We're like, he's coming to Nebraska because he's from Lincoln. And
I wanted him.
He went to Vanderbilt too to be with Berke. So maybe he thought he was going to Nebraska, and then Berke convinced him that Nebraska's actually in Nashville.
Oh, wow. You think Berke was a prominent peer recruiter here?
Maybe. I don't know.
I could see Berke.
I think Berke did pretty well for himself as far as
I think they both did pretty
the money is concerned. Same thing with Bangot Dak. Could this lead to maybe Nebraska and Vanderbilt run into each other in the semifinals of an MTE or something like that next year?
Maybe Fred should reach out to Mark Livingston as an olive branch. You're like,
Mark Byington
as an olive branch, and be like, hey, do
let's
you
do it.
Do you want to do a home and home, and we'll play at your place first, and then you can come here to our actual environment and not Oklahoma City?
Mm-hmm.
It'd actually be really funny if they played a neutral Oklahoma City game.
I think it'd be really fun if Nebraska went and played in Nashville in their arena, and then their fans still took over the building. That'd be really fun.
It's gonna happen. It would happen.
They would.
Nebraska fans would take over Broadway for stretches of it too.
Would this be the new rivalry like we got with Creighton in Alabama with Vanderbilt beat Nebraska's SEC rival?
Yes, modern day.
It's possible. You can go back to the Diego Pavia comments where he talked about why would he want to go to the Big Ten and play teams like Nebraska?
That's right.
Which is
I totally forgot he made comments about Nebraska.
His final game of his career was a loss to Iowa. While Indiana, one of the teams I think he mentioned in there, won the national championship.
They did. He should have said Rutgers. Everything would have been fine in his life if he would have just said
Rutgers and Maryland.
Because nobody would have
focused on Big Ten stalwarts, Rutgers and Maryland.
Nobody in the Big Ten would have caped up for Rutgers. That's for sure.
They're not going to cape up for much, but if you insult multiple teams, then it becomes a thing.
At least Nebraska fans are capable of defending themselves.
Nebraska fans are caping up over everything.
But they can defend themselves. Sure. There are no Rutgers fans to defend themselves. That's the problem.
Well, they don't want to out themselves as Rutgers fans. Wait a minute, you root for Rutgers? Don't tell anyone.
I have to say it out loud that I'm a Rutgers fan. So that's what happened in the portal this weekend. Creighton didn't do anything because they don't really have to anymore.
Like they're done.
It's pretty close to, I think. Yeah. And I saw John Walker, the World Herald wrote a story basically of like, here's what they got. I like what they got, and now it's about, all right, how do you fit the pieces together? I still wouldn't be surprised. I guess outside of this, there was on Friday, the Sky Clark thing came up. He visited.
Yeah, I was going to ask about this. So like, they still have a spot clearly.
Yeah, they have spots. Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume he would be a take if he gets the eligibility.
It's an interesting fit with everything else they've already brought in too, and already have.
It'd be a lot of combo guards. You're going to have to ask somebody to play the point, So
I think Sky Clark could probably do it.
I think he'd probably be your best option.
That would be the first person that comes to mind.
So I wonder, I wonder how that went.
I guess-
/ what the likelihood of him. I mean, what if 5 for 5 happens? Is that the landing spot for him? Maybe. And if it doesn't,
well, that's the Jamarcus conversation for Nebraska
Right.
too. So like maybe you didn't get Tyreek Coleman, but 5 for 5 happens, you get Jamarcus Lawrence back, which is a vastly superior thing
absolutely
for your team.
And if it doesn't happen, Clark is still trying to get the year back anyway
Right.
from his freshman year at Illinois, where he played like 13 games, but he said he was,
Playing under the influence of Underwood. Is that a waivable?
They were all speaking a different language, and I didn't know what was going on, so I had to transfer.
the mental anguish of having to learn these different languages was too much.
Yeah, I think probably some of that. All right, I have one more question. We're sort of bouncing around here in this segment. This is a stadium question. What's up with you guys in troughs? Okay, what is going on? I hear impassioned speeches for troughs. I heard it on Young Matt's show on Friday.
From Matt himself?
Yes, he was like, troughs are the best. Troughs make everything. And he's going to be mad at me for saying that he said that.
Should I have an opinion on troughs? Because I don't have an opinion on troughs.
Same. We don't. Joey, do you have any opinions on troughs?
No, I don't.
This is
I don't.
I don't know what happened in society where everyone felt like they had to really step up for and defend troughs. They had to cape up for troughs. And it's true, trough people, they are being eliminated around the country. You are seeing less and less of them. But
Maybe it's just the onslaught of persecution that trough people feel. But I don't even know how you become a trough person.
There has definitely become troughs have become the symbol of a hardy Midwest fan base, cold weather, something like that. I believe that you can have this image without actually having troughs in your stadium. What do you think? 951-1620.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of pushback on that. But again, I come at it from a place where I didn't have a lot of strong opinions on troughs anyway. So I apologize if I'm letting down the trough community, but I didn't really I guess vibe with the trough community to begin with.
I don't know. I seriously can't tell. I can't actually tell if it's a bit or not.
It's got to be a bit.
It's a
nobody
but
cares
it's such
this
a
much.
collective bit. I see it so often when people were talking. We have been talking about the stadium on and off now for 3 years.
Yeah.
And every time it comes up, they say, "What about the troughs?" And I wonder if it's like a "What about the emails" thing? Like it just keeps coming up over and over again. That people, it's like reflexive. What about the troughs? What about the troughs?
I told you this, like with TCF Bank, when that was built, like there was a big Save the Metrodome troughs push up in Minnesota. So maybe it's just this thing that happens with new stadiums, I guess. I don't know.
Do you think so? Dan writes in, hi, good morning, Dan. He says
Dan.
the character building of the troughs. This where Sit Destroyer said the troughs build character. To get rid of them would be horrific for future generations. Could you explain to me how the troughs build character as comparative to its friend, the urinal?
Yeah, like I just don't.
Once again, I think this is just something that people say.
I think it's a bit. I think it's a bit.
But I'm very confused about it because they will fight you tooth and nail on it.
Well,
They'll
Matt,
say,
so if we bring this up for the crossover, he'll fight about this?
yes, I think so. So John writes in on the text line. He says, Matt says he enjoys gazing into another man's eyes while he's using the trough.
You can still do that at the urinal.
I know. What
You can
changes?
still have conversation.
And if you really are a sicko and you want to buy one of these troughs, I'm sure you'll have the opportunity to do so. And if you really like troughs so much, put your money where your mouth is. Install a trough in your house. I better see a trough in your house. If you're so trough-filled that you love troughs so much, I better see one of those troughs in your house. You better invite me over. And if I don't see one of those troughs in your house, I will call you a faker. You're an idiot. And a poser and a phony. But something tells me I'm right. You actually don't believe in the troughs. You just like saying it.
I also just think a trough would make it very difficult for your bathroom area, like the space that it would fill up.
Yeah, very much.
That'd be difficult to pull off in home.
I mean, sometimes.
Also,
would
seems
just
like
have
it
to put it in
lacks
your
a real
garage.
reason.
So let's talk about this. Like,
Garage
you
trough.
know, there is if we're talking about the ease of which it is to use the restroom in the trough, there you have to acknowledge that it is not shoulder to shoulder for everybody. Some people don't walk in and take the spot. Like sometimes you could replace the exact same amount of people traffic flow wise if you just put 5 urinals right now next to each other. And by the way, I've seen a lot of bathrooms with like 60 urinals, just bang, 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 bang all the way down the line.
Yeah, it's called airport.
Yeah.
I mean,
You ever heard of an airport?
I see this where it's like, yeah, but troughs can help the flow of traffic in a stadium. It's like, go to any airport and they figured out how to make it work. Like you can get enough urinals in the space that you can cycle people through.
So Dan follows up on the character building. He says, not growing up pee shy, having that awkward moment where your father has to hold you up. All of that still exists in urinals. Every time I go to a sporting event at a venue, I see a kid with their pants at their ankles trying to pee in the urinal.
Yep.
What's going to change about that from troughs to urinal? Nothing.
I'm like nearing the beginning of that age with my son too. And I'm now thinking about it and I'm already just like, this is gonna suck.
Like, of course it's embarrassing. You have to work your way through it, whether it's a trough or a urinal.
Like, son, you don't need to pull your underoos all the way down. It's all right.
The trough heads are a little out of control. And I really am having a difficult time figuring out if you guys actually like this or if it's a bit. And I think I'm settling on
I'm
It's a
thinking
bit.
it's a bit. I don't think it's real.
it feels like a bit to me. So until somebody convinces me otherwise that it's not a bit and people just like, people just like saying these things, we will stand on this take.
People do like to say things.
I know.
That's definitely true.
People do like to say things. Ryan in Delaware says the trough is losing its meaning. Like it's Santa.
I have to assume it's becoming extinct.
Yeah.
And
I would assume so too.
I'm okay
because
with it.
the only reason they have them is because they found it too difficult when they installed bathrooms inside places in like the 30s. They're like, let's put a big sink in here for people to pee in. That's basically what it is.
It's
You
a pee
sickos are just going to the
It's
bathroom
just a
and peeing
bathtub.
in a sink.
It's a pee sink.
Disgusting.
Well, it's just a drain. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah. How about how you have the opportunity to have your own little potty with dividers in between? It's great.
You get privacy.
Yeah.
It's
Have
fun.
you ever heard of that?
Don't act like you people don't enjoy it. You do. You do. Or at least you need to use more bathrooms where you actually are afforded privacy, maybe. Try a real bathroom. You ask, and yet you still ask the general public, which bathroom would you rather use? Your home bathroom or the one in like the mall or something like that? And basically 100% of the people
Yeah.
say your own bathroom.
10 out
And
of 10
yet
times.
they love troughs.
It's a bit.
I am dubious of your guys' opinions. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Tim Verghese is going to join us on the other side on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and the Zone Radio Network. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer. We're joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by our good friend Tim Verghese from inside Nebraska. Tim, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good. I saw a video from over the weekend in the recruiting space that I had to ask you about. Okay, so Trey Taylor was asked who the next Heisman Trophy winner is going to be, and he said that it was going to be Trey Taylor, which seems impossible unless he knows something that we don't. Is Trey Taylor early enrolling to win the Heisman next year?
Yeah, I thought that was funny. Yeah. I mean, because you do. I mean, kind of forget. Yeah, there's going to be a football season played before Trey Taylor enrolls at Nebraska.
He could win the Millard South Heisman. He could win the Nebraska Heisman. Maybe.
What if he just thinks there's not going to be a good enough player in the 2026 season that they decide not to award the Heisman?
It's all possible. It's all the.
Have we considered that?
Could be. Who knows?
Tim, who do you think's going to win the Heisman?
I kind of just feel like it's all building up for Arch, isn't it? Like, I mean, I thought he had a really good end to the season. I think he's well positioned to be the best player.
They have done a blitz, like a communications blitz of just like a
Really?
bunch of I feel
Do
like
you
there's a
feel
lot
blitz?
of Arch content. A lot of Arch content. Maybe it's just that time of year too, but a lot of Cooper comparing him to where Peyton was going into his senior year at Tennessee, things of this nature.
You really feel that way, Tim? I mean, he it's not like he was bad, but
He was very average.
yeah, he was very average, and the expectations are high.
Okay, the start of the year was not great, but I thought especially the way he ended the season, like the last few games of the season, the bowl game and everything, considering what was around him and what he was working with along that offensive line in particular, I thought, and look, that receiver room was I mean, they were expecting, guys to step up in that room that really didn't. But I thought there was enough in that last year, in those last few games, to be encouraged about what next season could be. And he's got Cam Coleman to throw to now. He's got a pretty nice running back room that they've put together over there. Offensive line looks improved. We'll see what it looks like. I think it's still going to be a question. But I think his ability to manage the pocket and work under pressure really improved as the season went on. And I think he's shown enough flashes to be, QB1, whatever that looks like next year. That said, I mean, I think he's the odds-on favorite. I don't know if y'all saw anything from Messermaker at the Oklahoma State spring game. The ball is humming. The ball is humming. I'm just very interested by that project. I think a lot of those guys at North Texas, Messermaker, Caleb Hawkins, a couple of those guys they brought with them, in addition to those guys, can play at the Power 4 level, and specifically in the Big 12. I think they're going to put up some points. Will they win a whole lot of games? We'll see. I need to see what that defense looks like. But on the offensive side of the ball, I think they're well positioned to put together a lot of points, and I think Messermaker's well positioned to be another one of those, like top, if not the leading passer in the country, top 5 passer in the country.
While we're talking about random quarterbacks that aren't Nebraska's quarterback, I want to throw another one at you. Is Julian saying boring?
I don't know if he's boring, but
He's boring.
I can see, I can see a thing where, I can see Tavian jumping him. I don't think it's a thing of boring. It's just, I think there's a question of his ability to be the truck more so than the trailer. I mean, I hope that's
I got you.
Something
I know what you mean.
That's what you're looking for with quarterbacks is someone that can kind of lead the room, especially at a place like Ohio State. You're looking for a quarterback that can lead the room, that can push the ball downfield, that can, off and on the field, be that kind of leader. I don't know if Julian is necessarily capable of that. And I think especially as Tavian St. Clair is continuing to develop with the physical tools he has, I just wonder if things come to a head at some point, whether that's in fall camp, whether that's later in the season, whether that's a thing of, hey, Julian, because I don't know if Julian Saint's going to be NFL ready after this year. I don't know if he's going to declare after this season because, simply, I think it's going to be a crowded field. We just talked about 2 guys who I think are going to be the very top of next year's draft. in Arch Manning and Drew Messmaker, and that's not to exclude guys like Dante Moore and a lot of others who I think are going to be at the top of next year's draft. So it's going to come to a head, I think, at some point, because whether it's before the season, at some point in the season, or after the season, when one of the two hits the portal, I just think things are going to come to a head at some point there. I really like Tavian St. Clair coming out of high school. I really liked his continued development. He clearly needed a year to sit to put things together, and I need to put together and go back and watch some of the lowlights from the spring game, because I want to get a full picture of what he is. But when you compare the two, the physical tools, and also, again, like where I think the locker room is kind of on it, I wouldn't be surprised if Julian hits the bench or hits the portal by the end of the season.
And he's also boring.
We're just wondering about his ceiling. That's all, Schaefer. Maybe that's a nicer way to put it. Tim, we do want to ask you about recruiting, but I have one more for you. It's draft week. You love the draft.
Yeah, we don't even have to do the recruiting. We should just keep throwing random things at Tim.
Draft week. You love the draft. What are you watching for in the draft starting Thursday?
Ooh, like really the order of things now. I mean, again, it doesn't feel like we have an idea of where anything really lies after pick one. And I just want to see where some of these things lie, how some of these teams. I think we learned a lot from the draft about the direction of the league, what teams value right now. It guides us in terms of evaluating at the high school level what to prioritize, what we're looking for. So I'm looking for, like, again, just what kind of trends pop out. I'm going to keep an eye on the DB room, because we're starting to see this thing. I mean, last year we saw it a little bit with why am I blanking on the name? The Upton Stout who went to San Francisco. This year you have a few of those smaller DBs. You have D'Angelo Pons, who's smaller but a freak athlete, and then you have Chandler Rivers out of Duke, who I'm a big fan of, and I'm not to say the league is going in this direction of smaller DBs, but I think the league is now willing to make an exception for certain smaller DBs now, if they have certain athletic or physical tools, and I think those three guys that I listed have one of those things. I think for both Stout and Rivers, they're both good enough athletes who are physical and versatile on tape. And then with Pons, I mean, the tape is electric, and he's a top tier athlete on top of that. And so just want to see, again, because the league is starting to do, like, feels like it's starting to get a little smaller at the skill positions, at wide receiver, at corner, even at running back a little bit, linebacker, of course. You're starting to see like the 6 foot, 200 pound line, or 6 foot, 220 pound linebackers really start to pop up. So the league's getting somewhat smaller, but at what point is it like, okay, there's a cutoff? I think we saw that with Tank Dell, where now Houston's kind of, they want him back. They want him to be healthy, but at the same time, he's missed a lot of time already. You don't really know if he's going to be able to stick it out for an entire career or play an entire season just with where his body's at. So that's a lesson I think we're going to learn is how small can the NFL get at the DB position. I'm really excited to see where some of these Ohio State guys land. I want to see if anyone pushes the team, some of them up. There are a bunch of these teams now with multiple first-round picks, whether it's teaming up Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles, whether it's Caden McDonald and Sonny Styles, whatever that looks like. I wouldn't be surprised if we come out of the first round or first 50 picks with a couple of Ohio State guys teaming up, or a couple guys from that Ohio State defense teaming up at the next level. So those are a few things I'm watching. I think the QBs behind Mendoza, I mean, it feels like Ty Simpson has been linked to the Cardinals. When that happens, I'm excider to see. Or if that's where he ends up, I'm excited to see where Cole Payton lands. And then this is a fun draft for me, a DB guy. Like there's just a lot of different DBs that I'm excited to see land. But this is also a weird draft where on the more when you on the macro sense, when you look at some of these positions and some of these needs, we've heard it already from people in the league that. Or people around this draft, you kind of throw value out of the window with this draft. Guys are going to be picked probably higher than they were just because of positional value and where things kind of stand. This is a draft where you have, I think, Jeremiah Love and Caleb Downs are two of the best players in this draft at positions relatively of relative little value at running back and safety. But I think both those guys are difference makers in whatever team they land. I think fit matters beyond just the top end of this draft, throughout this draft. I think especially in the first 60 picks, first 60 to 100 picks, fit's really going to matter. And then after that, I think you're going to start to see some reaches, because this isn't a super, super deep draft at a whole lot of positions. And so this is a weird draft in the sense that I think from a local lens, you know, how many Nebraska guys get picked is kind of all over the place because of how well some of these guys tested at their pro day and how, again, relatively like not deep this draft is. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a few Huskers sneak in that 6th, maybe even 7th round that we're maybe all a little surprised to see get drafted.
Yeah, Tim, I'm curious, who would have a red flag from you and a do not draft that's the first round guy right now? Who would Tim Verghese GM avoid based on your evaluation jobs?
I need to go back and look at some of these first rounders that let me look real quick. But I definitely have a few names. I don't want to say the name I have I'm immediately thinking of.
Is it Mendoza?
It's not Mendoza. I think I'm in on Mendoza. I have some questions about Keldrick Falk. He's one that fit's going to matter for me in position. I don't think I'm a guy who, like, I'm not, especially at the back end of the draft or back end of the first round. Like, I'm not obsessed with the age with Akeem Mesidor and some of the older guys in this draft. I think you just get value where you can. Okay, I'll say this. I think one of the guys I think that's pretty consistently put in the first round that I just don't really see it at tackle early on, especially in this draft when you have a few other guys that are ready made. I don't know if I love Caleb Lomo in this draft.
Okay,
he's the offensive tackle from Utah, opposite Spencer Fano. I just think there's a lot of work to do. He's slim and slight, and like was really slim and slight in high school, and one of those things where is he going to be big enough? And when you're drafting a tackle in the first round, you want these guys to be able to contribute relatively early on, get the value from that first contract. And I don't necessarily know if they're going to get that from him within the first 2 years. He's going to need some time. And look, like I think it's a position if I'm in the back end of the draft, like this one I'm looking at has him going 27 to the 49ers. If I'm in the draft and I'm on the board and he's there, Blake Miller's there, and Maxi Inocho from Arizona State's there, he's probably third on that list for me. I love Maxi Inocho. I hope I'm saying that right. Inocho. And Blake Miller, I need to watch a little more of him this week. He's one I still need to get a little more on, but from what I've seen, I like it a little more than I do with Lomu. There's some stuff to like with Lomu, of course. I think there's a reason he's consistently mocked in the first round. I think the upside's there. I'm just one with offensive line in particular. Like I want more of a sure thing. And I would say this too, at the top of this offensive line group, I think Monroe Freeling's a guy who's a bit of a you have to squint to see. He was like that in high school. I mean, he was. Shoot, I saw him at the Under Armour Atlanta back in the day, and he was like all of 260 pounds going into, I think it was senior season. He was slight, and he still has some work to do, I think, on his body. Still has some work to do, but at least you don't have to. There's quality college tape, and you can see. You don't have to squint to see what this looks like at the next level. You just know there's some work that needs to be done. With Lomo, I feel like I have to squint a little bit, and I don't love that from a guy that's pretty consistently been mocked in the first round.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, Tim, great stuff. Appreciate it as always. Enjoy the week, and we'll check out the recruiting stuff as well on Inside Nebraska. Thanks as always.
Thanks, Tim.
Appreciate you guys.
Tim Verghese, Inside Nebraska. Check out all the recruiting takes there and get the draft takes right here.
Yeah, get Tim and Severe together and let them talk draft.
Oh, they're already commenting to each other on the which is great.
It's like a really good match for those two.
Here's a curious trend that we probably won't talk about anything draft related this week. What will become of the Indiana guys? Like, I think that's a fascinating study. He mentioned he mentioned Pons, and obviously Mendoza, it looks like it's going number one, but like the wide receivers, Cooper, like he's projected to be a first rounder.
Yep.
Like, is there another further lesson to be taken from Indiana based on how they end up as professionals. It'll be sort of fascinating to watch that. That's a question that we can't answer until we have a long period of time to sort of evaluate them. But I think that'll be something that people take away from a draft this time around. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back round at the hour after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, Michael Bruntz is still going to join us here in a little bit. Talk some baseball as Nebraska swept the crap out of USC this weekend. Speaking of diamond sports, how about this from Softball America? They released their top 25 a little while ago and ranked, guess who? Number 1 in the country. That'd be the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Number 1. That's above everyone else.
I think they played Minnesota this past weekend.
They did. They
just
destroyed
beat the
them.
snot out.
Yeah, they're probably not going to lose any regular season games. The rest, and they're certainly going to host a regional, and they're almost certainly going to host a super.
Assuming they win there'll be
Yeah.
a national seed in position to host.
Yeah.
Basically.
There you go. So turns out you can never
Incredible.
dream too big. Now we thought that Jordy Fromm was going to lead them to the College World Series last year. They came one game short.
Very tantalizingly close.
One game short, and now she just needed a little help from Alexis Jensen. She's got her covered.
Who just crushes softballs.
Yeah, and pitches them.
Yeah.
She's
softball
making them difficult to hit as well.
Yeah, or softball Shohei Ohtani, whatever you want to call it.
The Softball America top 25 has Nebraska number 1, Oklahoma 2, Alabama 3, Texas Tech 4, and UCLA at 5. So nice. Number 1. That is that's pretty good. Doesn't get much better than that, I'd say. Also, I'd like to give a shout out before we get to some other things in the 9 o'clock hour. This is a Monday shout out for me. Shout out to the San Antonio Spurs. So we talked about them earlier and what they did with their Fiesta colors. So they have the turquoise and the yellow and the pink, and they had shirts that coordinated to the colors on each section, which is the right way to do it, right? If you really want the home court advantage as far as that's concerned, they actually gave all of their fans shirts.
What a novel idea.
So that's not why they're getting the shout out.
Okay. Well, they already got the man of the weekend.
They did from me.
They're getting the shout out as well because before the game started, they put on one of those cameras inside, one of the bits inside the stadium, inside the Frost Bank Center in San Antonio, where they were shaming people in the stands for not wearing the shirts that were given to them.
I love that.
Some folks think they're better than people and they don't want to wear the shirts.
You will be part of the mob mentality.
And so they put them on camera and it says, wear your shirt. And then the camera stays on the people until they put on the shirt, at which point a graphic comes up that says, thank you for wearing your shirt. And then they move on to the next person who's not wearing their shirt.
Fantastic.
Bullying works, folks. Bullying sometimes works. Nice job by the San Antonio Spurs for getting the people to actually.
Will you incorporate some bullying with your in-game production?
I sometimes do.
You sometimes do?
I sometimes do. Yeah.
You cajole?
Well, we were doing Billy's Jukebox on Friday, and I said, hey, if you don't get these, we will boo you relentlessly. And so I use that as motivation.
Yeah.
I think that can work. Bullying can be used, in a variety of different ways. Preemptively.
Often to desired results. That's why it's so effective.
That's an option. It is an option. By the way, Whopper writes in. Monday shout out to Norbit. Thank you. I'm glad that got in because we're missing our Friday shout out to Norbit.
We made sure we said it, but we hadn't seen it.
We made sure we got there. That's for sure. All right, so plenty to discuss still in the 9 o'clock hour. We could bring back another stadium topic, and then obviously baseball. Will they host a regional?
What do you think Bruntz's percent's going to be? We set it at 45. Are we good with that?
I think he's going to go higher.
I think he'll go higher too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still comfortable with 45.
Yeah, we're not there. We're not at 50 yet. 50 is a big threshold to cross over.
I think once you go above 50, you don't want to go back underneath 50.
I think Bruntz is going to go over 50.
You think so?
I do.
All right. Well, we'll find
out.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out in about 15 or 20 minutes. So we'll come back and we'll have some baseball talk and more on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. Another new thing to enter into and win at 1620thezone.com. The green for the green 5K sweepstakes. Enter online, 1620thezone.com, powered by Benjamin Franklin Plumbing. You can improve your golf game, get better equipment, get a membership, or even repair the damages due to your miscalculated golf swing. Runs through May 19th. Green for the green 5K sweepstakes. Okay. I'd like to draw your attention to something real quick.
Yes, absolutely.
I was looking at USC baseball's team sheet.
Oh, no.
Oh, no is right. Oh, no is right. So this past weekend, obviously, they were destroyed and dismantled by Nebraska in Quad 1.
Oh, yeah, they're showing this a lot on Saturday.
2-10
Yeah.
in RPI Quad 1 for USC now after getting swept by Nebraska. They have really packed in the wins against teams that are not in Quad 1.
So who are their 2 Quad 1 wins? Because on Saturday it was at 0 still, so they must have shifted a little bit.
Oregon and Santa Barbara.
Okay. So I wonder if they moved it up enough in the RPI.
Oregon is 17 and Santa Barbara is 24.
Okay.
So that 24 at home was in by 1 spot. So that might have been the one. So everywhere outside of Quad 1, USC only has 4 losses the entire season. 2 in Quad 2, 1 in Quad 3, and 1 in Quad 4. That was a road loss at Long Beach State, by the way. And they were swept by Nebraska this weekend as well. So they ain't hosting nothing.
Nope.
Or USC. Just
they've basically been they've lost to all of the top teams in the Big Ten at this point with UCLA, Oregon, and Nebraska. So they don't really have opportunities to make up, against quality opponents down the stretch either.
They also lost to Maryland one time as well on the road. They also famously lost to Northwestern on the road in a snowstorm several weeks ago. But that was a different thing. All right, so they're not hosting, but who is? Maybe the Nebraska Cornhuskers. As annoyed as I am by the constant asking of the question, will they host a regional? It's time to actually have the conversation. Will they host a regional? It's a real possibility. And I think, more so than will they or won't they, because we don't really know until it's time. I think they've put themselves in a really good position to be able to do so.
Easily the best in a while. Like they haven't been this close.
Yeah, I mean,
in a long time.
This past weekend was as big of single game or single series bump, I think, as you're going to see from a Nebraska team, or that a Nebraska team's had the opportunity to give themselves in a long time, right? I mean, it was their first sweep against a ranked team since that Texas series in 2015.
Yeah.
Which drew similar crowds and it was in March and it was colder. I remember that, but they
did very little after that.
Right. But it did a lot in terms of this could really be something. And I do think, this supplied the same thing, not only internally, but externally as well. People on the outside looking in. So they're absolutely on everyone's radar now as far as a top 20-ish team in the country and a team that is viable, certainly, to host a regional, should it break around their way for teams around them and who also have the ability to host.
Yeah, they are a team that has given themselves a great opportunity to potentially host, both because of what they're obviously doing now in conference play, but they went out and they got marquee wins earlier this year with the win at Auburn in that series on that Friday night, which played out in a lot of ways like the USC one, where it sure felt like they were dead in the water and they were able to find a way to put together some runs. Will Jeske had a big home run in the 9th inning there. Like, part of the thing with Nebraska baseball that is really kind of cool is that, Dylan Carey's been really good, but up and down the lineup, they just get contributions from all sorts of different players that kind of have their moment. I mean, Overbeek hit that 3-run homer. Otherwise, it wasn't like he had a particularly strong game that Friday night, but when they needed it, he absolutely pounded one to give them the opportunity. You have Mac Moyer's been great all year. He hits the big 3-run homer to put him ahead yesterday, 6-5. I mean, I mentioned Will Jeske. Max Butenbach has had his moments, even though he's not starting or playing as much. But it just feels like guys have stepped in a way that maybe in previous years where it's always.
I mean, the one guy that is Moyer, you mentioned, who's I think the straw that stirs the drink at the top of their lineup.
Right.
I think that guy's the difference maker. Obviously, you've had Carey in his production for the last couple of years, but you're going to need unexpected performances from guys that you didn't see coming, and that would be Grigo.
Yeah, Grigo's been amazing, but Case has just been great. Like, I mean, he's come on in the last couple of weeks where I think he's had 5 home runs for the season, and 4 of them are in the last 10 days. So, I mean, you're getting these huge performances. I think Bruntz was talking about it last week. They've known power's there for them, but you end up getting that to show up in critical situations. It just makes your team that much better.
And so, to look at the team sheet and say, all right, here's how they compare. I mean, they check out 9-6 in quad 1 and 16-0 and in quad 4. Like you said, Schaefer, they've had some big wins. This one against USC, we'll see how well it's able to hold up. I think that would be the concern, coming down the stretch for USC, who's gained a lot of, what I just said, a lot of their goodwill on the back of a weaker schedule and has performed poorly against some of the top teams so far. So we'll see how much that holds up as it goes on throughout the remainder of the season. But they're certainly in the conversation. Charles writes in, he says that the make of this year's baseball squad is different. Yeah, I think this is something that we pinpointed very, very early. In order for this team to have success, they were going to have to get that piece of it right, because they haven't really had it right for the last couple of years.
The group of red-ass baseball boys built in the mold of Will Bolt,
Yeah,
where they don't quit.
They're not
just
afraid of
don't
anything.
quit.
They're just not afraid of anything.
Yeah.
They'll go into any sort of environment and really, really give themselves the opportunity to. When they gave themselves the opportunity to step on the throat on Saturday and Sunday, they took it. It's really, really good.
It was, you have that big inning and then it's 7-0. You're like, all right, they're probably done scoring here. And they weren't. They ended up winning that one 12-2. But was it 16-6 on Sunday?
16-6, yeah.
Just remarkable performances, and it feels like the whole team's just on a heater right now.
So I think you saw, as the you won't know the regional thing until we get there. And like I said, they've given themselves the opportunity. But I will say this: we can talk about the importance of it. And I think you saw this weekend what kind of advantage Nebraska in particular can get from having that home field advantage in the postseason. And another good thing is that Big Ten tournament sort of doesn't really mean much anymore because they put themselves into this position, which is great. I wonder what that means for the Big Ten tournament, but we'll see. I'm sure they'll get good crowds when Nebraska doesn't have to play their first game until Friday.
I would expect a lot of people, if the weather's good, to just show up and be a part of it.
Yeah, but not on Wednesday and Thursday.
Well, they won't be playing.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I thought it'd be interesting to see what it means for the Big Ten tournament sort of itself, but not the Nebraska side. If Nebraska's in it, of course, the people will be there. But I think you saw all weekend what kind of advantage, home field advantage could give them. Will Bolt said on Friday he thought the crowd really worked to their advantage. I think there was probably the cold factor that may have had an impact, I suppose, as well. But I thought so too. Like once they showed signs of being able to come back and the door was ajar, I think the fans were right on top of them. And then that obviously carried its way through Saturday and Sunday, where Nebraska got 21,000 plus fans this weekend, which was the most attended series and weekend series in Big Ten history for Haymarket Park. And then I think the park makes a difference too. I just think you want to depending on where you go, you just don't know where you are going to go, right? If you get sent to SEC Park A, right, chances are it's going to be a lot like what it is at Haymarket Park, just from a dimension standpoint. There's just a lot of launching pads down there in that conference, and a lot of inflated power numbers because of it. I think Haymarket Park plays similarly, but they play they have the team that can really take advantage of it. They are built that way. And so you want to take all of the unknown out of it as much as the unknown out of it as you possibly can. And a great way to do that is play at home in the postseason. And you know exactly what you're going to be getting there. And so they're I think right on the line. I certainly think it's a team that is capable of advancing through a regional. Should they be at home or should they not be at home? But you're going to obviously give yourself a better chance if you are at home. It is a discernible advantage. And it's something that Nebraska actually, for real, has the opportunity to do now.
Yeah, even though they lost the series, in both series with Auburn and Oregon, I think you see a Nebraska team that's equipped to go into a tough environment and give somebody a battle. And so I don't think that's really a big concern. I think past years, it never – I don't know that there's been a team in a while, other than maybe the one that went down to Oklahoma City in that regional that you were at. That was probably the last time where it's like, okay, this feels like a group that I thought was going to be able to go win a regional.
19.
And I didn't think 2021 would, because I didn't think they could get by Arkansas, and they pushed them in a way that I didn't think they could get by Arkansas, but it was right there. I mean, they had the lead in the third game of that series.
Yes, they did.
The last
game
the
7
winner take all, yeah. So I just think they're built really well from a mental standpoint, but also they just show up and they get it done on the field too. You saw USC giving away runs over and over. Nebraska plays really clean defense. They play really strong defense.
They're built in a way where they can really take advantage of any mistakes that are made up on the other side.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And so
no doubt.
That's exactly what they do. It's a really airtight team. They're deep from 1 to 9 in the lineup on most days, and then they play excellent defense and they pitch it. So absolutely, what a sweep for them over the weekend. And now we can really entertain the question, as Bruntz will be on to entertain the question here in just a little bit. I received this on the text line from Cody. Did I miss the segment where Connor gave an update on what he did Saturday night? No, we haven't. We haven't done that update. Schaefer asked me off the air.
I did.
And I told him, and it's not that exciting, though. I
was a little underwhelmed.
Yeah, I went and bought a couch and then kind of did some stuff around the house before, and then
you were just an adult.
And
you
then
were just a very normal adult.
Yeah, I didn't I did not. Maybe I took 45 minutes for myself when I went and got barbecue, and that was kind of it.
Yeah,
it was good. And now look at me. I'm an adult. I feel like Frank the Tank trying to say we're going to Home Depot on Saturday. It's going to be a big day. I feel like I am more accomplished, and I can feel better about myself because of the things that I did on Saturday.
Did you have to spend a lot of time at the?
I put myself in a position to succeed.
Very good. Did you spend a lot of time at the big box stores for the home improvement for the past weekend?
No, not. I haven't gone into Home Depot as part of this project yet.
Okay,
we've had everything on deck so far.
That's good.
The only thing, I just needed to buy a TV mount once, and I got that at Furniture Mart when I got the TV, which was fantastic.
One-stop shopping.
Absolutely. So that's what I did. That's what I did with my Saturday. It's very, very underwhelming. And then I watched the Blue Jays destroy Villanova on Saturday and Sunday, and watched them come back on Friday. People were the jerseys that they were wearing on Sunday. Did you see these?
Yeah, I saw you tweet about it, and I saw Stibbs called it like a crime or something like that. I don't know. I didn't look that close.
You call whatever you want it. They were wearing powder blue pants with the royal blue, regular
mismatched
blue jerseys.
Blue?
Yeah.
Whoa.
But it was game 2 of the doubleheader. So I don't know what happened. I haven't talked to anybody.
Was it similar to the thumbnail I have on the video stream?
That's exactly that's exactly right. Yes, they were wearing.
Oh my goodness!
Those.
Yeah,
that's what they were wearing.
Good.
That was game 2 on Sunday. Game 1, they were wearing all powder blue, and it was very normal. Game 2, they just changed tops. And they were like, screw it, let's go. And so I did a tweet about that, and people it's kind of spread around a little bit. Now there's a whole bunch of high school baseball players that are liking it on social media.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on. Maybe the kids like that uniform combo.
They want
It's very
alternate
confusing.
colors of the color combination.
I guess so. What I'm fascinated by is Big East baseball. What a wild place that is. Wild place.
What are the chances of more than one bid coming out of the Big East?
Very, very small at this point. Very small.
Nobody's playing them.
Last year would have been a good opportunity to do it, and it still
should have. It should have been UConn.
Yeah.
Like the
I think Xavier had a pretty good argument
Yeah.
for it too. So you could have really done 3, but it's probably going to be 1 this year.
Right.
Looking like the old one big league, and that will be decided at the beautiful, lovely Prasco Park in about a month. Exciting. We'll take a break. We'll come back with Michael Bruntz of Husker 24/7 after this on 1620 The Zone.
Broncos country, let's ride.
The Bruntz is back in town. The Bruntz is back in town. I said the Bruntz is back in town. The Bruntz is back in town. The Bruntz is back in town. Bruntz is back in town. Bruntz is back in town. Bruntz is back in town.
Michael Bruntz, Husker 24/7 on Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone.
And we're joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by our good friend, Michael Bruntz from Husker 24/7. Hello, Michael.
Good morning.
We got a great tweet from Joel who says, this team, talking about Nebraska baseball, this team is fun as hell, and we should be celebrating that more than living on the edge of hosting or not. And so with that, I ask you, will Nebraska host a regional?
I still think the odds are against them.
Ooh, by how much?
Yeah, give us a percent.
Well, one of your colleagues there at the radio station asked me a couple weeks ago, and I put it at about 15%. I would go a little bit higher than that now.
Are you into the 30s?
Nah, I'd say like 25.
Okay.
Whoa, okay.
Where I'd go.
We're in the 40s.
Yeah, the official position of Happer and Schaefer is at 45%. We thought you were going to be at 50, but
No.
you rained on the parade.
You guys they gotta thread the needle here, right? Like, you look at the way the schedule sets up, and you basically have 2 games left against top 50-ish RPI teams.
Yeah, K-State
which
and
is
Kansas, yeah.
A little precarious. You're on the road, but for most of the rest of the season. I mean, Nebraska only has 4 home games left, which is wild.
Whoa.
And, you know, depending on how the RPI is going to break with some of those teams that they have to play, like Ohio State, they got to go to Illinois, at Minnesota. Like, it's just one of those things where one loss can just knock you so much. So that's why I think that's the only reason I worry a little bit. I mean, I think this is a team that's, you know, absolutely a strong 2 at the worst. Like, I think that's just the way they are. So I think just the way the schedule shapes up is probably my only hesitancy to join you guys up in the 40% club.
That's fair. I mean, at the same time, Bruntz, they have made it through this part of the schedule. It's been more than half the schedule at this point. But really, over the last couple of weeks, they've done a lot of their damage. And sweeping USC is the biggest thing I think they've probably done this year as far as moving the needle from an RPI perspective. Big opportunity tomorrow. But you mentioned it, as you go into this, you know, this final stretch here, Illinois, Ohio State, Iowa, and Minnesota are your weekend series. And, you know, there's some potential landmines in there. But what changes now that you have all of this, you know, all of these wins underneath your belt that look good on paper?
Well, I mean, it's a math thing. I mean, I think what changes too is it's just baseball, right? Like, I think you just kind of worry about somebody I mean, like,
sure,
Minnesota goes out to UCLA and plays them strong for 3 games. I mean, I think Nebraska is going to have that kind of target on their backs the rest of the way, and that's an earned thing. So, no, I mean, I think I'm fully aware of the fact that you know, Nebraska could basically roll through that schedule too. I mean, this is a lineup that is going to beat up good pitching. It's going to absolutely murder bad pitching. So to steal a Matt Ruleism,
murder.
But I do think, you know, that they're playing great baseball right now. You know, they've definitely kind of hit their stride. So I think it's just going to be a very fine line into the clubhouse for Nebraska, I think, is probably my only hesitancy, because I think this is a really scary baseball team. Like here's the thing, like if you are a team that's like 15th out of the 16 hosts, you would potentially be getting this Nebraska team coming into your regional as a 2. I mean, that's kind of that's a scary thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to self-scout a little bit. Go back to your frame of mind going into the year, February, all of that, whatever, maybe January. Whose performance so far this season has surprised you the most?
Mac Moyer. I mean, I think you go back to what he did in the fall. I mean, he didn't have a great fall. I think there was a little bit of, he'd had the body of work in junior college, but you got to remember he wasn't even starting in center to start the year, and he's just taken off and kept hitting, and he handles the bat really well. I mean, the bunt on Friday night, just on its own, apart from whatever the result of that play was, it was a fantastic bunt in a really tight situation. Yesterday, USC kind of is in control of that game a little bit. And, you're in a situation where I'm guessing USC is probably expecting him to lay down a bunt because it's first and second with nobody out. And he pops the ball out of the yard, and it's 6-5 Nebraska. So I think his performance, over the course of the year has been, a pretty big surprise. Certainly Drew Grigo, as a freshman, you never know how freshmen are going to come in and perform, but, he's a guy that's ascending right now, where I think sometimes as freshmen, you kind of get guys riding the roller coaster a little bit. They'll, go through slow streaks, and he had a small one, at Oregon and a little bit before that series, but, he's just, pounding baseballs. He had the grand slam yesterday, the one on Saturday was just absolutely crushed off the bathrooms and left. And so, I mean, I think those two probably would qualify as the biggest surprises for me. But, I think, when you kind of dig more into Grigo too, though, he's just kind of made like that. Like he's a competitive guy. He's always hit. I mean, he's an infielder in his background, but basically said, I want to get in the lineup. I can play outfield if you need me there, and hasn't allowed Nebraska to take him out of the lineup. So that's exactly what you want from a young player.
Bruntz, it's not uncommon to see, a whole bunch of rotation shakeups from like the start of the year until you get this point in the season, and multiple shakeups, especially at that early portion of the season. But there was one going into this weekend with what you did with Ty Horn, and then he comes back and ends up being a big piece for you in a Sunday win. Do you feel like they've pressed the right buttons as far as the rotation and then how you deal with those guys out of the bullpen is concerned here?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the week as a whole. Horn pitched against Creighton in that win. He pitched Friday night against USC and came back and threw 5 innings yesterday against USC. Nebraska won all 3 of those. And, he's a guy that's durable. I think personality wise has really kind of adapted well to the move to the bullpen.
Yeah.
Like he's a pretty emotional guy.
Yep.
He was touching 98, 97, 98 on Friday. And so, I don't know. I mean, sometimes when guys are coming out of the bullpen and you've only got to go, a couple innings, you can kind of empty the tank a little bit faster. And I think maybe that's part of it too. But, it's kind of interesting when you go back and look at the series with USC. I mean, Nebraska got 2 starts that were probably subpar. I mean, Cooper Katsky just didn't have it on Friday. Blackowitz goes 2 innings on Sunday, and you go in there and beat a really good USC team. So, I think once everybody's kind of on their correct rest, I'm expecting Katsky to bounce back pretty well this weekend on Friday if they keep him there. So, it'll be interesting to see how they handle things, because the other part of it is too, is you basically only have 3 midweeks left, and then you kind of reshift things anyways. So, I think they kind of like what they have in Horn in that bullpen spot. And I think you have to give them a lot of credit, because some guys wouldn't handle being moved out of Friday night very well.
No doubt.
But obviously, he had a big impact there.
What do you ascribe to why this team is so comfortable when they're trailing by large margins? We've seen them come back. I was thinking about that Auburn game that they had to start the series back in, I want to say February, beginning of March. And they come back that Friday night. They did it against USC. They've done it several times in conference play. Like what is it about this group that they're somehow, wouldn't say more comfortable, but they seem completely content early in a game if they fall in a hole because they know that they can come back with their bats, or they've shown the ability to come back with their bats.
Yeah, you got to give Maine credit too. They were up big on Nebraska. Nebraska came back on
That's
them.
right.
So, no, I think it's a fair question. I mean, I think what happens is you do it once or twice, and you start to get a little bit of confidence and comfort in those types of situations. I think the thing too, you look at Nebraska's offense, and it's a little bit inevitable. Like you're really good 1 through 9, and there's some confidence that, you know, if you fall behind by, you know, 2 or 3 or whatever, you're going to be able to make that up. Like this is a team that, you know, with the way the lineup is this year, they've chased big innings and gotten big innings a lot more than teams that I can remember under Will Bolt in the past. I mean, everybody wants to talk about Bolt ball, but Nebraska's really just kind of, you know, hitting the ball all over the yard right now. And you know, a bunch of different guys are doing it. So, you know, I think that's why there's some comfort there. And I mean, even on Friday night, you know, when Overbeek hits that home run to get it back to 2, it really kind of felt like, and players said this, like it was like, okay, we've only got to get 2 now. Like that was such a huge swing in terms of kind of reframing their mindset in that game, where it was kind of like, okay, we've done this, we can do this. And I think it's just a really good lineup. And when you can hit home runs, when you can hit doubles, which this team is doing a lot better than past Nebraska teams, that really kind of allows you to, I think, function a little bit more easily, you know, in some of those situations where you're trailing. And plus, I mean, you go back to Friday, I mean, Jalen Worthley comes in and throws 3 really important innings, and kind of kept USC right there. So, I mean, maybe, you know, you've got some trust in the bullpen too, to be able to hold teams at bay. But I think it's just the ability for big innings that this team has that allows them to kind of do that.
Bruntz, you making the trek down to the Hog tomorrow for a big midweek with Kansas?
I will not be down there, unfortunately. But that's going to be a fascinating one. You know, Kansas is, I think, comfortable with kind of being the lovable scamps in the dugout.
Lovable? I don't think so. I think they're very comfortable with making everyone angry. That's what it seems like.
No, they're totally the heels. I was trying to be kind there. I do wonder if the Salt Dogs did send them a bill for the damage they did in the Nebraska dugout, but that's, you know, the visiting dugout at Haymarket Park. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I mean, it's a tense series. I don't know. It's interesting that why it's so tense, because, you know, I think Nebraska's comfortable with chirping a little bit. We know Kansas is.
Yep.
You know, they've got actually a somewhat rowdy student section down at KU. And you know, you had Will Bolt get tossed last time these two teams played. So and it's a big one for both of them. I mean, in terms of RPI, you know, Nebraska is actually the higher ranked team RPI wise in this game. So it's a big one. And like we said at the start, I mean, you don't have a lot of these opportunities left on the schedule, and sets you up pretty well if you're able to get this one on the road and then kind of roll into the back couple series of the schedule.
All right, Bruntz, we'll let you go. Great stuff as always. Appreciate it. Have a good rest of your week.
Yep. Take care, guys. We'll see you.
Michael Bruntz from Husker 24/7. Yeah, the Jayhawks won 2 out of 3 this weekend against Oklahoma State. I saw a couple of the clips from their broadcast, and there's BTN Plus, and then there's whatever the hell that was.
Yeah. It, as always, can get worse from where you're at. You can always get Flow Sports.
You can be Flow Sports. That is for sure. All right, when we come back, we will have our bracket sim of the day.
Man, where are they going to get placed?
We are back.
Will they be at home? Will they be on the road? Who knows?
And we will hit that right after this on 1620 The Zone. Another thing to watch out for baseball wise, something that will continue to happen down the stretch of the season. Did you see what Michigan decided to do? Mike Schaefer?
No, I didn't.
Well, not uncommon that around this time of the year, you are sitting around the bubble and you look around, you're like, ooh, who do we play in the rest of our season? And will it help us? And sometimes the answer is no.
So you just boot them off the
And
schedule.
so you just say, get out of here, you crap Dayton. We're not playing you anymore. We're going to go play Miami of Ohio instead. They're better than you.
That is remarkable.
That's what teams do.
Seems like you really shouldn't be able to change your schedule while the season is going on.
It's baseball, baby.
It is baseball.
I guess I kind of agree, but I'm for it. Like,
it is unique
if I'm
enough
for bracket
that-
busters, I
Yeah.
have to be for this.
Bracket busters, like the old thing that they used to do back in February.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed those days.
Those were great.
That was fun.
I've attended many bracket buster games in my life. But yes, Dayton is losing a game against Michigan, and Michigan will play Miami of Ohio instead to increase their RPI chances down the stretch. Speaking of RPI, here is the pairratings.com bracket sim of the day. Current bracket, as projected, or current setup as projected, Nebraska is the number 1 seed in the Lincoln Regional.
Whoa!
The number 9 national seed, which is kind of nuts. Hosting 2 seed Kentucky.
Okay.
3 seed Oregon State.
Whoa.
Nice.
I'm sorry, Oklahoma State.
I was going to say,
that's not
Oregon
that's not
State seems like
possible.
they're a host.
Yeah, sorry. And then 4 seed Lamar.
Okay.
Creighton has, by the way, made this bracket. They are the 4 seed in the Gainesville, Florida regional. Florida, no kegs. Sign me up.
You can go to the jorts capital of the world, Gainesville.
I would like to go. I would like to go to Gainesville.
You see the Tebow statue.
Ooh, Tebow is a statue?
I think he does.
Cool.
I think I believe he does. But men's basketball
We
broke
will
the
never
hearts.
see.
Men's basketball broke the hearts of Florida. Maybe the Jays baseball can do the same thing.
That's true. 2002 all over again. Maybe it could be Terrell Taylor.
We could do that.
But Florida, Miami, Kent State, and Creighton would be a tough regional to get out of, especially considering what Creighton had done to them by Miami just several weeks ago. So let's simulate this bracket. And here we are. Nebraska fails to advance from their own regional.
This is what you wanted.
They succumb to the pressure of playing at home in their regional, and they lose to Kentucky, who then loses to Mississippi State in the Super.
Terrible.
By the way, in the Creighton Gainesville regional, Miami has advanced out of that. College World Series. Wow. UCLA has lost in the Super Regional. This is an incredible College World Series. West Virginia, Mississippi State, North Carolina, Virginia.
They're all 1 seeds, right?
Mississippi State, North Carolina, Virginia, yes.
Okay.
West Virginia, you're talking about 1 regionals? Or?
Well, West Virginia, they'd be like the 16 seed,
Correct.
right? Yeah.
So they're a regional host, but they beat UCLA. Arkansas, Michigan, Oregon State, and Liberty.
Liberty.
Exactly. And Mississippi State versus Michigan in the final. All that RPI gaming really helped Michigan.
Incredible.
It got them to the College World Series final where they lost to Brian O'Connor's Mississippi State Bulldogs. Then I could simulate a projected bracket. The projected bracket has Nebraska hosting the regional in Lincoln against, guess who? Arkansas. Arkansas has to come here.
The tables have turned.
And then they will
Would
play.
you have Mojo Hagee throughout the first game?
I would. I absolutely would. Have Spencer Schwellenbach come back or something like that. Yeah. And then Arkansas could bring that one guy who hit the grand slam, Welch.
Oh, yeah.
Creighton has made this tournament as well. They will go to Corvallis to listen to this regional. Oregon State, Miami, LSU, and Creighton.
Yikes.
Dear God. Let's simulate it and see what happens. Run it. Nebraska has yet again lost their own regional to Arkansas.
They're terrible.
Sad.
This is not going well for them.
Yeah, so two times not making out of the first weekend in our bracket sim of the day today.
And this comes back on Friday. Did we decide, or are you thinking, do you want this every day?
I thought that was like a Friday and Monday thing.
We won't have any results to go off tomorrow. So we could do it like after Tuesday, after Wednesday. I don't know. We'll see. We might do it every day. It's a fun
I'm
5
okay
minutes.
doing it every day because I'm always fascinated what the projected Connor World Series looks like.
Connor World Series still lives according to these two projections.
It's going to be the best bit down the stretch of this entire thing.
Connor World Series
Like,
is...
I want a live camera on you if Nebraska's playing in the game 3 of a super regional.
You're going to ruin my Connor World Series. All right. That'll do it for us today. If you miss anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. Time for the crossover with Matt coming up next.